scored some important goals. He actually effectively got the goal that won them the league title. He was popular with his teammates and popular with the fans. So I'm surprised. Even when Anthony Gordon signed, I still thought there was a possibility that Rashford would.
After 200 goals have already been won, the final day of action at these 2026 Commonwealth Games comes down to these last few hours. 15 medal events will have been completed by the time the action ends and before the closing ceremony gets underway. And for the next 3 hours, we'll run you through what's left to be won and look back at the last 10 days in Glasgow. This is Commonwealth Games Kickoff. A very good afternoon to you. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and the final few sports are drawing to a close at these games. But we will, of course, keep you posted in what happens in the track cycling at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome and in the judo too. But netball and the bowls have come to an end. We'll clarify what's happened in those a little bit later on. But delighted to say, with me, as he has been throughout these whole games, it is Commonwealth and Olympic champion Greg Rutherford. How are you?
I'm very well. Good afternoon. Can you believe it? It's been 10 days since Chris Hoy opened that door. The King and Queen walked out, gave a bit of a wave. Yep. A huge tea cake was risen up into the air with extra bits coming out.
Doesn't that feel like an age ago?
I know, that was only 10 days ago.
I know.
Unbelievable.
And so much has happened in between then.
It really has.
It has been, I have to say, pretty magical. I mean, I know we've been doing it down here in London. It's never quite the same. And when you're there, it's obviously even more special. But when you think about how we were worried about the future of the games, that these particular games might not have taken place had it not been for Glasgow stepping in, we have been treated to some excellent sporting action, haven't we?
Yeah, I think it's been great. I was just obviously talking on Darren's show a minute ago and sort of talking about how good it's been and sort of with all the issues that have been going on to this point with it. Glasgow have put on a brilliant show. They really, really have. When we put it into context, 18 months. I remember, I think it was our first or second show when the lane breaker had broken and pulled out of the wall, and you're thinking, oh no, could this be what's going to happen? It's just going to be lots of things going wrong because they haven't had the time. Of course, there's always the little stumbling blocks here and there, but it's been brilliant. They've put on a fantastic show. We've had amazing performances, huge shocks as well. Brilliant comebacks for people. We've had records galore, be that Commonwealth records or medal haul records. I mean, it's been a really, really good Commonwealth Games. And I think for anybody watching it or listening to it via us, I think they've probably been treated to some fantastic sport. Yeah.
And we should obviously reiterate that we knew this was going to be a scaled down event. So not as many sports as you would normally find in the Commonwealth Games. And I'm sure there'll be some takeaways from this in the sense of, what sports missed out. Perhaps they should have been included. But at the end of the day, you have to think about the fact there was little time to prepare for this. So some events had to be set aside. I know I heard you talking about the hockey earlier on. That's always a sport we associate with the Commonwealth Games, the Olympics, those sorts of things. And I'm sure, hopefully, in 4 years' time in India, when the Commonwealth Games heads there, we'll see that reintroduced, perhaps with all the sports that missed out.
Yeah, I think that there's already been conversations of that, hasn't there? And then there's other sports, of course, India might want to bring in certain things, be that cricket, of course. That is a very, very popular sport there. So that might also happen as well, which would be brilliant to see. But yeah, look, they've obviously got more time. They found out that they're hosting it last year, so they've already had a good 9 months to start thinking about what they want to do. They will start, obviously, prepping, getting all the venues ready. And I think from conversations that have been had high up within the Commonwealth Games committees, they're saying that they will put on a full programme. A lot of the sports will come back in. And I think that's just great for the viewer. But again, when we think of Glasgow, the job they have done has been absolutely out of this world. I think if you gave anybody 18 months to create something which is a logistical nightmare like a Commonwealth Games, and they can put on a show like they have, I take my hat off to them. I wouldn't want 18 months to try and figure something out like of that magnitude. So a great comms. I think the future of the Commonwealth Games is bright as well, because when we look at Australia, for example, how seriously they take the Commonwealth Games, and 11 million people have been tuning in most days in Australia to watch their athletes win a very, very large amount of medals. But that's also...
They've strolled to that, haven't they?
I mean, it's not been bad, has it, for them? And again, they broke records all over the shop of the most amount of medals that they've won during this Games as well. And it sort of shows, doesn't it? I mean, a lot of the athletes, when they've been interviewed, they've been saying, look, for us, we've been slogging our guts out ready for this Commonwealth Games. The Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, that's what matters to Australia when it comes to these sports. And it shows. And that might be a little bit of a wake-up call to some of the home nations in particular. When we knew certain sports had one eye on the Europeans, which a few of our sports have got coming up, we had a lot of people withdraw from the home nations. And again, people thinking more about that maybe than the comms. And then Australia have sort of run away with it. So it's interesting, as I say. I think it's bright because I think people realise how amazing a show it is. So we'll sort of see how the next 4 years go. And then roll in India.
Indeed. There's so much more we can talk about when it comes to the future of the Commonwealth Games. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some people listening and going, oh, yeah, it's all very well that Australia really put everything into this. They weren't happy to stage the event.
Well, this is true.
But we might get into that a little bit later on. That being said, there are still 2 sporting events that are continuing right now at these Commonwealth Games. One in the velodrome, in the track cycling. So let's check in with that first race of this afternoon session with Joe Shannon.
Yes, Natalie, Greg, good afternoon. Welcome to the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome and the women's elimination race final, which is off and underway. 22 riders starting together on the track. A sprint of the finish line occurs every lap. The very last rider at the rear of the pack gets pulled and eliminated each time, and the race narrows down one rider by one until a final 2-rider sprint decides gold and silver. So we are relatively early stages. We've had 5 eliminations so far. Grove of South Africa, Wong of Northern Ireland, Liao of Singapore, Lewis of England and Volstadt of Canada, with 17 riders still remaining in this race. And remember, with every lap that goes by, somebody else is eliminated. So it's intriguing to watch. Indeed, Scotland have just lost Nia Evans. She's been eliminated, but there remains plenty of home interest in this race, the women's elimination race final here at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome.
Joe, thank you very much. So coming into today, we had 4 sports that needed to be completed. 2 of them have already now finished. That is the bowls and the netball. The judo does continue right now, but let's check in with some of those earlier results. Our roving reporter, Georgie Heath, is with us.
Hello, happy final day to you both. Well, it was all action in the netball today, all the medals on offer. Obviously, for the first time ever, Australia didn't make the final. They took on England in the bronze medal match, and it was the Australians, the defending champions, who've had to settle for bronze this year, but they're beating England 68-50. So a bronze medal for the Australians. Then all eyes were on the final. It was Jamaica in the final for the first ever time, taking on New Zealand. Well, New Zealand, they led from the very first quarter, and they took it out 56-48. So it's gold to New Zealand, silver to Jamaica, and bronze to Australia. And then plenty coming up in the judo this afternoon. It will all kick off with the women's under 78 kilogram bronze, which includes England's Shelley Ludford, and then in the gold medal match for that one, England's Emma Reid, and then plenty more to come after that. The men's 100 kilograms, the women's over 78. So a lot still to come in the judo this afternoon. It's not over just yet.
It certainly is not. Georgie, thank you. We'll have regular updates then to see how the judo will finish up. But it has been a really, really successful Commonwealth Games. I think that's fair to say. We've already agreed on that, Greg, that is for sure. But like I was mentioning there might be some with the grumbling of, oh, Australia, all right, you can take it seriously when it comes to the actual events. but less so when it comes to staging it. And look, I totally understand that it would have cost a fortune to stage it. And that's why we have now seen this scaled back Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, because they didn't have the time to prepare for a Commonwealth Games on the normal magnitude that you would find it. But do you understand where some people might be going, okay, so you don't want to host the Commonwealth Games, but you're happy to host the the Olympic Games, which will be going there in 2032.
Yeah.
Again, I get there's a difference. The Olympics, it will bring in a lot of money. Of course it will to Australia, but there is still that sort of slight cynicism, I suppose.
Oh, massively. And there has to be as well. I mean, you shouldn't be bidding for things if you don't think that you can do it, knowing as well that you're going in for an Olympic bid as well. I think probably what's happened there, they've seen, which has happened to so many countries. Think of Rio. Brazil had one of the most emerging economies in the world. They then host a World Cup and an Olympic Games, and economy completely and utterly crashed. I feel like there was probably a fear, that post-COVID fear as well, of again, if we spend too much money now, when we're still trying to recuperate, things could go wrong. And fair play, as I say, to Glasgow for picking the baton up and running with it and saying, do you know what, we won't let the Commonwealth Games die. We'll host it for you. And of course, they've had to pay. It was 100 million or 150 million something overall to go in there to support it. And obviously for Australia, that's significantly less, because it looked like it was going to go into billions if they held it. Now, Glasgow's obviously managed to get it out there for significantly less than that. But no, 100%. Like, I mean, it's something that they should be embarrassed about, I think, obviously to a certain degree. But if they're trying to financially make a decision that isn't going to cripple their country, I do also massively appreciate that as well. Yeah. And Glasgow only took it on because they knew they could cope with it. So again, I think we just have to say fair play to them. Well done to Glasgow for sorting out Australia's mess.
Yeah, very, very much so. Although didn't impact Australia when it came to the success, when it came to all the different sports. Of course, something else that we will hopefully get our teeth into during the course of this show. But yeah, very much huge applause goes to Glasgow for putting this on. There is so much to look forward to in what is the final day of these Commonwealth Games, which is brought to you on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
It's an amazing story, actually. It's almost a forgotten man. This is about Mykhailo Mudryk, who has been allowed to come back to football immediately for Chelsea. So you'll remember that this is a man who had a 4-year ban handed down to him for breaching anti-doping rules. He's not played since November 2024 after what was described as an adverse finding of meldonium, which is a banned substance in his system. He appealed against that sentence to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, who have
And we are into the final few hours of these 2026 Commonwealth Games. We're taking you back to the velodrome then to check in with the women's elimination race final. Joe Shannon.
Very exciting here. There are 7 riders still in contention in this women's elimination race final at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome, whittled down from 22 at the very start. Remember, the very last rider at the rear of the pack gets eliminated each time they go round the finishing line, and the race will narrow down until a final 2-rider sprint decides gold and silver. And I can see the rider all in blue from Scotland with the number 155 on the back of her shirt is eliminated. Erin Boothman goes, and so remaining still in this race, Anna Morris of Wales. What a games Wales have had. Ali Marie Wollaston of New Zealand, Madeline Leach of England, Maggie Coyles-Leicester of Canada, Alicia Polites of Australia, and Georgia Baker of Australia too, still remaining as they head round the final corner into the final stretch. This to reach the finishing line, and who's eliminated? That was very tight at the back of the pack there. It looks like Anna Morris of Wales has gone, and indeed she is eliminated. There are just 5 riders left, and that was very tight indeed. Barely anything in it. Anna Morris of Wales is eliminated. We are nearly 10.5 minutes now through this women's elimination race final, and the crowd are really enjoying what they are seeing here. A terrific atmosphere at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome. There is a huge throng of spectators here all around this circular arena as the number 152 Ali Marie Wollaston of New Zealand is the latest to be eliminated. So just 4 riders remain. Madeline Leach of England is among them. Maggie Coyles-Leicester of Canada, Alicia Polites and Georgia Baker of Australia in the yellow and green cycling kit, and this is very tight now. The 4 of them are packed together going into the sprint lap. Up goes the noise of the crowd once again. Lagging a little behind is Leach of England, and in the end, crossing the finishing line last is indeed Madeline Leach. So she is eliminated and finishes in 4th position. A terrific cycle nonetheless, and we're now down to the final 3. This is where the medal standings will ultimately be decided, and in they go with 2 trailing at the back. 1 is clear. I think that's Georgia Baker of Australia, who is well clear of the 2 just behind her. In fact, it might be Alyssa Polites with the other Aussie back alongside Maggie Coyles-Leicester of Canada. Into the 12th minute of action now in this women's elimination race final at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome on talkSPORT, as Maggie Coyles-Leicester of Canada is indeed eliminated, and so it will be Alyssa Polites and Georgia Baker of Australia who will take the silver and the gold medals here at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome. It has been a terrific watch, this women's elimination race final, and the crowd are applauding raucously here. Great noise all around the stadium, and waving to the crowd and punching the air with delight is Georgia Baker. She grabs hold of an Australian flag. She will finish 2nd, and finishing 1st and taking the gold is Alyssa Polites of Australia. Both of them now have Australian flags, which they are clutching into the air as they continue a cycle lap, another lap around the arena. Alyssa Polites is the winner of the women's elimination race. She will take gold. Georgia Baker will finish 2nd, and Maggie Coyles-Leicester of Canada in 3rd position. A big pat on the back for Alyssa Polites, who wins this epic race. Georgia Baker finishes in 2nd place, and it is a 1-2 for Australia here at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome now.
Joe, brilliantly called. Thank you very much. Also at the Velodrome for us is Georgia Holt, the sprint cyclist, who can join us once more. She's been our roving reporter, and I daren't ask if you've got the Derny rider for us, Georgia. I know that was one of your missions that we set you.
It was my mission objective. So I didn't get to speak to him at lunch, but I managed to speak to one of the commissaires who was involved in the employment of our Derny riders. And they said that basically they have a list of Derny riders who can ride the track. So you actually have to do a Derny qualification and be basically eligible to do the Derny. And I was up close and personal with the Derny as they were putting the Commonwealth Games stickers on it. And on the front of his Derny, he has the speeds written on literally a bit of masking tape, 30k per hour, 33k per hour, and then it goes 40. I've got a picture of it somewhere. But yeah, it is so interesting, like how much work he needs to actually put in. It doesn't look like he does a lot, but he is working to make sure those girls are dropped off at the perfect speed for the start of the Keirin.
I would say, when you're talking about working, I think the cyclists might say they're working a little bit more than the guy who's on it. We should just point out we're talking about the Derny bike, the motorbike essentially that's used in the Keirin.
Yes, correct. So it's a petrol-fueled little motorbike, and he has little pedals on it as well.
I'd like to,
great.
Nat, we were talking about like events that we could maybe do in the Commonwealth Games now. Now I think we've just found we could be the Derny Riders.
Yes.
Yes. Also, it sounds like a band name a little bit as well, doesn't
I'm
it?
surprised you've not put yourself forward for that, Georgia. You know, you used to do horse riding, then you've moved into track cycling. I mean, it's the next progression, isn't it?
I think so. I'm going to be putting my name down for the next one.
Go on, Georgia.
Oh, go on. Sorry. Well, we've just had the elimination race,
Yes.
and I had written down the girls who I wanted to watch and who I thought the podium was going to be. And I'm sorry to say, guys, I only got one out of the three. It's a little game I've been playing with myself, but I put Georgia Baker to win, and she's just got second. So that was amazing. And she had her teammate, Alyssa Police, who just won, which was very, very good. You know, Georgia Baker had a bit of a standoff with Maggie Coors-Lister from Canada, and then Alyssa Police, she was like, oh, you two can have a mess about yourselves. I'm off to win this. So, yeah, such a fast elimination race from the girls there. They started off so fast that, you know, people were so tired. They weren't even contesting the sprints because they were so tired. They were just dropping out like flies.
I was going to say, is that part of the tactical side of it? Are you just going to have athletes that are going to surge in order to try and kill the legs of the other competitors, and then obviously they can just literally leave them behind?
Yeah, you've got it, Greg. They will just surge for that. Every other lap, when someone is eliminated, they just surge again and surge again and surge again, and just kills your legs off. I can't explain the damage it does to your legs, because these girls, they're not on small gears. We're on big gears here. The way it's gone, like, to keep up with that speed, you've got to be on a big gear, and when you get tired, it genuinely feels like you're cycling through treacle.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, these girls are strong.
And tell us what we also have to look forward to this afternoon in the velodrome, Georgia.
Well, just about to start is the men's C1-3 3,000 metre individual pursuit. So we've got that underway. We've got the bronze and gold finals for those. And in the gold final, it is Scotland's Finn Graham. So expect the crowd to go nuts for him, because he is a little gem of a guy. We've also got the women's Kieran, so that's where our beloved Derny will be in action. Forget Emma Finucane going for her 4th gold.
Yeah,
it's the
wow.
Derny we're interested in. And then we've also got the men's points race at the very end, and I am so excited for that, because that's going to be amazing.
Well, it's gone quiet,
Yeah, we're
so
like
we'll leave
hushing.
you to it, Georgia, for now. But we'll chat to you in a little bit later on, when there's so much more to digest from the velodrome. And talking of what's already happened, Georgia has been busy. Earlier on, she caught up with the Australian Lee Hoffman, who won gold in the men's 1,000 metre time trial final. And this is what he had to say after.
You've just got your 3rd gold of the Games.
Yep.
You're looking a bit of a funny colour. Talk me through how you are feeling.
Oh, absolutely destroyed. I haven't done that event for 6 years. I think at a state championships in Australia, I went 105 something.
Wow.
So I PB'd, but to be honest, it felt like a 105. It didn't really feel fast. After the first lap, my legs were already burning. But yeah, just reached peak speed and somehow held on. I don't know how. I'm still in disbelief. That last lap rolled around, it was a complete blur, and I saw 58 on the board. I didn't actually know it was a games record until about 10 minutes ago. So yeah, that's a plus as well.
Yeah, I mean, that ride was unbelievable. We were stood up in the stands for you because we knew it was going to be an absolute mammoth ride for you. What keeps you going? Because like you say, you've not done that in 5 years.
Yeah.
6 years, sorry. And what drives you to just keep, digging this deep?
Yeah, well, I know in Commonwealth Games it's a one-off ride, which is amazing. At Worlds, we'd have to do qualifying, then the final. I don't think I'll do this event for another 4 years. I'm definitely not going to line up for it at World Championships. Yeah, one and done. Maybe in 4 years' time, once I forget about how much it hurts, I'll line up for it again. But yeah, to come away with the gold's just amazing. An event that I don't train for.
Oh, it was amazing. And on drops as well?
Yeah.
Have we not sorted out the skis yet?
No. So the last time I'd done it, I ended up on blue line for the 2nd lap, blue line for the 3rd lap, and then by the 4th lap I was on the red line, and that was in Adelaide. So yeah, I just don't do any training on the TT bars. So I think that's probably the fastest time in history on sprint bars. So yeah, it's definitely a plus.
So that was Lee Hoffman then chatting to our very own Georgia Holt after winning gold, and he's talking about the drops there. That's the handlebars, basically, that they're referring to, which has been the beauty, I have to say, of these Commonwealth Games for me and maybe others who've been listening, and maybe to a degree
Myself
Greg,
at
as well.
times,
We've
absolutely.
been learning as we go about the different terminologies, which is brilliant, and Georgia's been great helping us with that when it's come to the cycling. Hence why we were talking about the Derny bike earlier on, because obviously at the time we were like, tell us all about the bike, and now we know officially it's the Derny bike, and that was why it intrigued us a little bit more. But it's been, I mean, the velodrome itself, the steep levels it can rise to is just unbelievable. I don't think any of the pictures really do it justice.
No,
I
they don't.
imagine it's, I mean, you've been to a velodrome.
I have a few times, yeah. And I would suggest to anybody, you watch it on TV and you sort of see the speeds that they go round, and you see them whizzing around the corners at, 60 odd kilometres an hour, 70 kilometres an hour. I mean, it's fast. But then when you actually go and stand at the top of the wall and look down, it's terrifying. It's genuinely terrifying to look at, because you just imagine coming off the bike. And sadly, obviously, when some of them do come off the bike, that's why such severe injuries take place. The G-forces that they're putting their body through, the speeds that they're getting up to. And then, obviously, you're on a very solid surface as well, and sometimes at a great height as well. It really is not for the faint-hearted at all. So I always take my hat off to them. And if anybody can look at the pictures of the bikes, you can get an idea of what Georgia was talking about there with the skis, which are the longer, where they rest their arms on.
Yes.
And then the down bars are basically just what you would see as more of a traditional
racing bike.
Yeah, you'd see that all over the shop. Probably people have got one in their shed at the moment. So on the drops, as we've
with
now
a few
learned.
cobwebs.
Well,
perhaps, on
maybe
them.
mine definitely does, but yeah.
But I do wonder, actually, funnily enough, you know what it's like when Wimbledon, for example, comes around for 2 weeks of the year, tennis courts are filled for a period of time afterwards. I wonder if people are inspired by some of what they see at these Commonwealth Games. There will be, obviously, especially, you hope, the younger generation. And what we should say about the velodrome in particular, it has been sold out every day, which goes to show the healthy nature of track cycling.
Yeah, and I think in particular in Scotland, of course, it is called the Chris Hoy Stadium.
Yes.
So from that point of view, we know the absolute legend that is Chris Hoy, who has been there every day as well. One of the greatest ever in the history of track cycling. And obviously a very proud Scot. And I mean, it must be amazing to have a stadium named after you as well. That's an incredible...
Give it time, Greg. It's coming your way. Don't you worry.
That wasn't me petitioning to see if I can get...
The local rec is bound to have a sandpit.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'll open that. You'll see me opening that next week.
Oh, I hope so.
But I mean, to have people like Sir Chris around as well, and obviously it's well documented, he's very poorly at the moment on top of that. So for him to be at this Commonwealth Games, be involved, be in his own stadium and watching these incredible performances, I think it would be a very, very special thing for him. And just seeing him, as I say, watching him be around it, he's either been talking on the TV or he's been talking to the athletes. It's been great. Justin Kenny's been around there as well. I think he's part of the England setup, and his wife Laura, of course, heavily involved, chef de mission for the England team and things. So I mean, it's brilliant having these great stars from the world of track cycling involved so heavily. And I think because we have such a rich history of cycling, you attract so many people there. So again, this shows it doesn't take years and years to get these events properly off the ground. You can do it in a shortened time, and you can sell it out as well.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, we will return to the velodrome, of course, to keep you updated on what happens there, as we will keep you updated as well with the judo that is still ongoing. These are just the remaining sports really taking place at these 2026 Commonwealth Games. You won't miss a thing with us here on talkSPORT.
Liverpool are set to place an opening bid for Bradley Barcola, but what PSG want and what Liverpool are willing to offer at the moment seems quite far away.
Yeah, there's a golf valuation, but that's normal. PSG's starting position is £145 million. And my information is that in terms of the fixed fee, Liverpool are looking at roughly 80 million, maybe some add-ons on top. But that's the starting point. And knowing this is going to be a difficult negotiation because of PSG's starting position and the fact that they haven't signed Yan Diomande, Liverpool might need to be patient. And my expectation is it might run a similar course to Alexander Isak. And by that, I don't mean the player will agitate and go on strike, but what I
This is the final day of the Commonwealth Games, but the action still continues at the Velodrome, and Joe Shannon is keeping right across it for us in Glasgow.
2,400 metres, 2,500 metres now through the men's C1, C3, 3,000 metre individual pursuit final. And it looks as though Devon Briggs of New Zealand is in pole position to win bronze ahead of Gordon Allen of Australia. Allen, whose factored time of 3 minutes 31.060 seconds, is being bettered by Devon Briggs here. And as Allen watches on from the very centre of the velodrome, it looks as though Briggs, who is about 4.2 seconds ahead of his opponent's time, is going to do enough. The roar of the crowd as he finishes in 3 minutes 26.682 seconds. That is close to 5 seconds faster than his opponent, and it puts Devon Briggs into that bronze medal position. He takes his hands off the handlebars momentarily, big smile on his face, arms into the air as he takes the acclaim of the crowd. Third place and the bronze medal goes to Devon Briggs of New Zealand, and Gordon Allen will finish fourth. Coming up very shortly, Nat, here at the velodrome, we have the much anticipated C1 to C3 3,000 metre individual pursuit final gold, and that will see Matthew Robertson of England and Finn Graham of Scotland, sure to be a home favourite, go head to head for a gold medal on the track.
Joe, thank you very much. Let's bring in Georgia Holt then, who is trackside for us too at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome. And I find the individual pursuit really interesting. How do they draw essentially who goes first, Georgia?
So, funny you ask, the heats have been a bit all over the place here at Commies. However, normally it's based off your World Championship times. So they've all done qualifying this morning, which the heats were a little bit all over the place. But now, because we've got the bronze and gold final, it just goes first to fourth. And the first two will normally ride off against each other. So we're about to see Matthew Robertson of Team England leave the gate in literally 15 seconds. So you can hear it going quiet now. But yeah, they will go off in their respective order, as usual, basically.
Don't set them off early, Georgia.
Yeah, OK, we'll leave you to it, Georgia, because I don't want to distract anyone. She's very good at whispering. But that's the only thing I find... you know, when obviously we're now seeing the England track cyclists going now. When you set the first time, is that not easier for the second one to kind of close down, if you know what I mean?
Oh, it feels like, yes.
It feels like it's a huge advantage for the second.
Yeah, not having anybody else
Right.
out there and to sort of chase down and again judge your time against 100%. And it must be that it is loaded in the favour of the fastest person. That's why they're the fastest. I guess you get slight relief from not having to work as hard, I guess, in that way. I mean, there's less guesswork anyway. Yeah. So I guess all they can do is go out and push as hard as they possibly can. Yeah. And when you're doing that over 3,000 metres, though, I guess it just starts killing your legs, and you don't want to go out too hard. You go out too hard, then all of a sudden you've got nothing left for the second half of the race or so. So it seems incredibly tactical. But there's also something about it. It's a bit of magic about it. I don't know. This was one of the races where about a year after I retired, I said that I was going to go and do track cycling as well. And I ended up...
How many things have you done?
Well, I always love a challenge. But it's one of those things where nobody from actual British cycling ever contacted me. I tried to contact them. They weren't interested. But it's one of those things where I watch this and there's something about it. I really enjoy it. Like it's just that unknown. And it's just you and the bike out in the velodrome. You have to push
Do you prefer
yourself.
this more to the road cycling?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm not... I mean, road cycling is incredible. I think it's because I am built more for speed, power-based stuff, not the mega long.
Of course you are. Yeah, I thought that about you too.
That's it. Yeah, literally, that's all I am. I'm relatively quick for short bursts. The rest of it, no hope. No hope whatsoever. But so I watch this and I find it absolutely fascinating. And just imagine the inner thoughts of the athlete when they're out there and they're on that bike and they'll have a coach that'll be shouting certain things. They'll know certain times that they need to be lapping in. They'll have everything going in their head, but then they're feeling how their body feels. If they've got a bit of stress going on in their life, if they're feeling a bit poorly, injured, whatever it is, all of this is going on, and you have a lot of time to think about it as you go around. So but there's something about, I don't know, I'd love to do it.
Well, crikey, as I say, how many more do you want to give it a go?
I'm too old to be good, but I just mean I want to give it a go.
Just in the velodrome.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how. Can you just pop along to the velodrome when they're not using it?
Yeah, there are open sessions. Yeah, I mean, you have to sort of have a bit of a. George will be able to tell us a bit more. But I remember when I last was at the London Velodrome, we had a conversation. They have bikes there, and you can go and set up and go and have a bit of a go. So so anybody who is inspired, definitely go to your local velodrome and give it a go. Especially youngsters, get involved. Or old people like me, if you fancy it.
Well, we know how injury prone you are. I think your days are behind you. Maybe when it comes to the track cycling, anyway. Do it for leisure in the park near where you live.
That's like a red rag to a bull now.
I know it is. Exactly that. We're going to take you back to the velodrome, check in then what's happening with this gold medal race. Joe Shannon.
And less than 500 metres to go here for Matthew Robertson, the 27-year-old Englishman from Greenwich in southeast London, all in red and white, and his time so far of just over 3 minutes 3 seconds as the final bell rings through 2,875 metres now and closing in on that 3,000 metre mark. It'll be fascinating to see his factored time. This is pretty quick, I have to say, from Matthew Robertson as he accelerates around the final turn across the finishing line. 3 minutes 22.597 seconds. That is a games record. A terrific cycle from Matthew Robertson of England and a pretty stunning result at that. 3 minutes 22.597 seconds. As I say, that is a games record at the Commonwealth Games, and the crowd in Glasgow have to applaud what they've seen here, and indeed they do. An average speed of just over 50 kilometres an hour. He was roaring round that track, and Matthew Robertson has given himself an excellent chance of winning a gold medal for England.
Joe, thank you very much. I mean, that is at least 4 seconds faster than the bronze medalist, which of course makes sense, but that just goes to show the speed that Matthew Robertson was going on out there on the track. So we expect the roar any time now for when Finn Graham of Scotland comes out to put in his individual pursuit to see if he can close down that time that has been set by Matthew Robertson and claim the gold for Scotland once more. I mean, these games have been brilliant, and the track cycling in particular. You know, you look at Wales, Emma Finucane, who's created history by winning 3 gold medals at these games. Just little things like that is just what is so brilliant. I mean, Chad Leclos in the swimming has become the outright most medals won in the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, 21.
21.
Imagine that. Imagine having 21. Imagine trying to hold them all up and show everybody. Imagine 21 medals.
I think if you could do it if you really wanted to, couldn't you?
I mean, it'd be the ultimate flex, wouldn't it? I guess if you were there with 21 medals.
It's just how much does it weigh you down? You might have to question it, but I think that's
he'd be a strong lad as well. But
I think he would.
2010 started that journey of collecting these medals, and then was in the lead for a while. And then I've written down somewhere, I couldn't find the note quickly, of who overtook him. And then he knew he had to get 3 more medals. I think his last 2.
That's right.
He's come back, and he is now
Australian
the
swimmer
outright.
whose name escapes me for the moment, but we'll get to that.
Imagine that 21 times he stood on a podium for South Africa at a Commonwealth Games.
I know.
And the thing is, swimmers, obviously, they do. We discussed this early on in the programme, that the swimmers, they get a lot of chances. So, he's taken many a chance and won many a medal.
Yeah, indeed. Right, we're going to take you back to the track and check in with Georgia Holt then and listen in for the roar from the Scotland fans who are cheering on Finn Graham. How's it all looking, Georgia?
Guys, I've had to turn you up because I could barely hear you. Oh my gosh, you're about to hear the roar as Finn Graham comes past. He is absolutely flying. It's amazing here at the track. But Greg, I heard your conversation earlier. We can get you on the velodrome. Don't worry. It'll be talkSPORT special. But for anyone who does want to try the track, you can go on the track as young as 9 years old. So get the kids on, get them straight on the track, because, start them young, because it is so much fun. And also, I agree with you, Greg, on the sprint side of things. The endurance riders and road riders are amazing, but my gosh, velodrome sprinting is so much better.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you on
This is the voice of the sprint cyclist that is Georgia Holt. Georgia, thank you very much for now. By the way, we're talking about Emma McEwen of Australia, who Chad Leclos has gone past now after those 21 medals that he's accumulated across, as you say, since 2010. The 5 games, is that?
Pretty impressive.
Oh, my gosh.
Even I was quite young in that's the Delhi Games of 2010. Even I was relatively young then. And it's...
What are you trying to say? You're old now.
Well, I'm saying that, but it was more like you're questioning me to say, like, as if that... I mean, I feel like I was 23. 23.
Well, yeah, he's 34 now, isn't he? So, yeah, okay. I hear what you're saying. He would have been a baby. Yeah. Really. Well, that mightily impressive. And I'm not going to say who, but we're going to be joined by someone who can talk all things swimming a little bit later on. Someone who was actually one of the competitors at these Commonwealth Games a little bit later on as well. But we'll take you back to the velodrome to check in then on this gold medal race. Joe Shannon.
Well, the crowd are right behind Finn Graham here, all in blue, but at the moment he lags ever so slightly behind England's Matthew Robertson going into the final 500 metres, 0.512 seconds behind Matthew Robertson, who is standing trackside and can only watch as the saltires are unfurled in the crowd, the blue and white saltires, the flag of Scotland, as the bell is rung. Finn Graham now 2,750 metres. He's going to need something pretty special from here, but can he do it? 2,900 metres, 0.8 seconds behind Matthew Robertson for the moment. Where's he going to finish? 3 minutes, 23.673 seconds, and the smile on the face of Matthew Robertson says it all. England have a gold medal here in the men's C1, C3, 3,000 metre individual pursuit. Finn Graham of Scotland has to settle for silver. He started so well, but it is Matthew Robertson who is not to be outdone, not to be edged out. And the 27-year-old from Greenwich, big look of relief and a big smile on his face a few moments ago. That tells you everything. He was very fast, Finn Graham, trying to catch up in pursuit, but ultimately it was not enough. He finishes just over a second behind Matthew Robertson in a brilliant 3,000 metre individual pursuit final gold medal race. As he slows down now across the track, Graham takes in the applause of the crowd, who certainly have backed him and backed Scotland to the absolute hilt. But in the end, it isn't quite enough. Graham will take the silver medal and Robertson the gold for England.
Joe, thank you very much. And what we should obviously emphasise, this is paracycling that we're talking about right now. And that is the beauty of these Commonwealth Games, because there's not a separate event. It's all as one, which is great to see that everyone essentially And listen, the Paralympics we've seen are massively supported by fans. But what's beautiful about this is they're all going and seeing able-bodied or para athletes, as we're seeing in this situation. It's like they're all seeing them together at the same time, and I love that.
Yeah, it's intermingled, and you wouldn't realise that's the great thing. I mean, of course, there might be the odd thing you go, oh, that's clearly a para athlete, but generally, it's just all. What I think is great, we talked about this really early on in the show about how 2012, the Paralympic Games in 2012, really was this huge sort of here we are moment for all the para athletes. And it stopped just being, oh, that's para sport, to just being, this is incredible sport, as it's always been. But people definitely looked at it differently. And speaking to a lot of the para athletes that were there, I used to train with Johnny Peacock, Steph Reed, who's been doing the TNT coverage. We discussed this many a time. People stopped sort of going, oh, these poor people that are trying to do some sport, to now going, actually, it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Times, the speeds, everything else that they do is quicker than 99.9% of people able-bodied or not. So once you suddenly realise actually how good the sport is, there's been this huge surge of following. So to mingle them together is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It's been brilliant to see. And I say, nobody's then going, oh, look, this is parasport. You're just watching sport as it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And Georgia Holt rejoins us from the velodrome as well. A terrific gold medal race that we saw there, I should say. And tell us about paracycling and how well that has taken off now, Georgia.
Oh, I mean, I think I'd probably go as far as saying it took off a bit in 2012, and it's just kind of been snowballing from there in the best way possible. We've had an amazing para program here in the cycling. I know some other sports didn't have their whole classification there, and yes, we didn't either here, but we had the C45 women who are about to go a bit later in the kilometre time trial, but we just had the men in the pursuit final with Matthew Robertson winning, so he's a C2 and Finn is a C3. Our classification on the bikes with the C category, it stands for cycle, goes from C1 to C5, and so that is ranging from C1 being most impaired and C5 to least impaired. So we've got a whole range of disabilities here, but there was something Steph Reed posted, I'm sure it was Steph, and she said, you know, why are we saying, oh, how amazing that the paracyclists get to race with the Olympic lot? Why aren't we saying how lucky are the Olympic lot to be racing with the paracyclists? Like, we can all learn things from one another. And I interviewed Stephen Clegg after his swimming final when he won gold, and he was like, thank you so much for, you know, asking me that question and mentioning it, because yeah, we've all got things to learn from each other both ways, and you know, people understanding what para athletes go through, or anyone with a disability go through each day to just get through their days, compared to those who don't have a disability. So yeah, no, it's super special here, and to have para athletes on display on the same platform here at the velodrome, dreamy.
Well, it really is, and I know the second round of the women's Kieran has got underway, so our favourite Derny bike is out there. What we'll do, Georgia, we'll let that sort of go around a few laps before we return to you at the velodrome. But yeah, it's always fascinating to watch this Derny biker.
I'm obsessed with his face. Honestly, it's the most deadpan you've ever seen anybody, showing absolutely zero emotion, to the point where I feel like he's been told he's not allowed to show any form of emotion. He basically is a robot on a semi-pedally, semi-motored bike.
It's just weird the way I look at him, and I don't know why. I just always think Dad's Army. That's all I can think of. But I'm clearly doing him a discredit, but that's just what it looks like to me. But look, we'll come back to the velodrome. We'll come back to the cycling, because it's all building up to a fascinating final day of these Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT.
You noticed that on social media, Curtis Jones liked the posts where Inter Milan announced Stones as a player.
He's acting like a spoiled brat. I saw his behaviour last night on the pitch.
This was after the friendly.
Yeah, I understand the frustration that you should have got the armband. He's been, you know, he's a scouser. He's been there 20 years. Blah 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 blah. But to act like that and for it to carry on, because it went on for about 2 minutes.
Was it him and Dominic Szoboszlai?
Yeah, he was having a go at Szoboszlai, who handed the armband over, I think, to Tsimikas. and I believe Curtis Jones had the temper tantrum over that. It's just like that behaviour can't happen, not from a graduate from the academy. He's too into himself. So if he wants
is
to
the
go,
source of his frustration not so much the captain's armband in a pre-season friendly, it's the fact he wants to leave, is it?
yeah, okay, so he wants to leave. Well, okay, now Liverpool have to get the best deal for the football club. That's how it works, okay? You don't get to throw your toys out of the pram and do it slowly, knowing him, and then act like that. I just don't understand it. You're playing for one of the biggest football clubs in the world. You came through the system. Behave. Stop. That's all eyes are on you. That's not.
And we could see history being made in the velodrome this afternoon with Emma Finucane going for Team Wales, going for history to become the first Welsh woman to ever win 4 Olympic golds at a Commonwealth Games. And she's got off to a great start in the Kieran, Joe Shannon.
She certainly has. A hat-trick of gold medals, as you say, Nat, coming into this afternoon. And Emma Finucane has secured her place in the gold medal ride to come. She qualified first in the first of these heats in the second round with a 200-metre time of 11.156 seconds. And behind her, Katie Marchant of England finishing second, just ahead of Christina Clonan of Australia, who qualified in third. So Finucane, Marchant and Clonan will all be in the final, where, of course, a gold medal is a possibility, with Mohd Asri of Malaysia, King of New Zealand and Georgette Rand of England all qualifying for the 7-12 finals. So the big news is that Finucane's gold medal target, a potential 4th gold medal, still very much alive. She, Marchant and Clonan are all through to the gold medal final.
OK, Joe, thank you very much. There is also the judo that is still ongoing at these Commonwealth Games, and 4 sports are coming or have come to a conclusion on this final day of these games as well. And Georgie Heath has been keeping across it all for us. Georgie?
Yeah, well, it's success for England's Emma Reid, who successfully defended the title that she won back in Birmingham in 2022, beating Australia's Maria Swan in the women's under 78 kilograms. Unfortunately for Shelley Ludford, she was just pipped to the post for bronze, but Reid will be very happy with that title defence. Oliver Barrett of Wales was just pipped as well in the men's contest for bronze, but just coming onto the mat now, England's Max Gregory in the men's under 100 kilograms final. That will be the last of the English action in the judo, but then later on we have Scotland's Gregor Miller in the over 100 kilograms taking on New Zealand's Cody Andrews.
Georgie, thank you very much. England ended in disappointment, the netball team, didn't it? As they lost their bronze medal match to Australia. So they finished 4th overall in this netball tournament of these games. Michael Waydock caught up with the England head coach, Anna Stentbridge.
Commiserations today. First of all, what words do you have for your team and your players?
Just really proud of them. I think, they've galvanised throughout this tournament, getting around each other and putting out a performance that ultimately, we were playing against number 1 in the world. Australia were going to be hurting off the loss yesterday, and we wanted to come out fighting, and I think we demonstrated that in the first period of the first quarter. But, a great response from the current world champions in terms of finding their groove and finding their way, and we were kind of left a little bit wanting. So, yeah, gutted for the girls, but really proud of them.
Was it a case today of just coming up against a very sore Australian team and knowing that they were going to come out? In fact, no one got what they really wanted from this match, if that makes sense.
Well, to be honest, we spoke about trying to make it the game that everyone wanted to see and making it a spectacle. But, credit to Australia, they're a class act. But I'm just really proud of the girls. We tried to make changes that were going to have impact, and I think for large parts of the game they did, but they responded as you'd expect from a class act.
And what about you? How much have you enjoyed? What can you take from this campaign?
Yeah, I think I love the hard graft in terms of what we see behind closed doors, in terms of the training environment. The girls have they've committed to everything, they've got behind everything, so really proud of that. It's a tough one, this hurts at the minute, and we didn't want to come here and go away without a medal, so we'll sit in the hurt for a little bit and then reassess.
What do you and the players do this afternoon to try and reflect on what you've achieved and to try and work your way through the hurt? Who helps who here?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've gone after is connection. I think as a players and as a staff group, like, we've tried to make sure we get around each other, but acknowledging, like, everyone's going to deal with this loss and this hurt in their own way. I'm a big believer it is important that you do stay together, but at the same time give each other the time and space that they may also need.
And it must be a little bit soon to start thinking about the future and what happens next. I guess you have to process today and process this Commonwealth Games first.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, it hurts right now, so yeah, just going to have to sit in this for a bit, and then in the weeks and the months come in, then, yeah, make a decision.
Thanks for your time, Anna.
Thank you.
Yeah, tough end to the tournament then for the Roses in defeat in that bronze medal match. Just to remind you, New Zealand won the gold medal match. That, of course, was against Jamaica, who had surprisingly knocked out Australia in the semi-finals. And it was the first time of the Commonwealth Games that Australia didn't reach the final.
Yeah, incredible to see, wasn't it? Jamaicans were absolutely over the moon when they did it. And it was an interesting one. I think we said at the time, after Jamaica won, it felt like maybe that could have been their final a little bit.
Yes.
And we know that Australia generally are so dominant, but then New Zealand are very close within the world of netball. So, but Jamaica are still one of the powerhouses. I mean, still the sort of top 5 world ranked. But I think England really would have loved to have been into that final. Yeah. And I think if they were facing Jamaica, there would have been a great shout for a gold medal there.
Gold for England, certainly. But it didn't quite work out that way. What has happened in the heats of this women's Keirin, Joe Shannon?
Yes, the second round, and we have 3 more finalists who have qualified for the gold medal final. Elise Andrews of New Zealand leading the way with a 200-metre time of 11.190 seconds. And Larry Thomas of Wales up into second position. She will feature in the gold medal final, as too will Australia's Alessia McCaig. Sophie Capewell of England finishing 4th. Iona Moyer of Scotland in 5th. And Lilia Tatarinov of Australia finishing in 6th position. So you take the 2 heats, you take the top 3 from each heat, and you put them together to get a final 6. They will be Andrews, Thomas, McCaig, Clonan, Marchant, and gunning for a 4th Commonwealth Games medal here at Glasgow 2026. Emma Finucane completes the finalists for the women's Keirin second round, and that's scheduled to take place here at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome at about 5 minutes past 4.
Joe, thank you very much. So, yes, it's all really about Emma Finucane going into that Keirin final. Of course, the other competitors will say, no. But when you consider she's won the sprint final, she won the 1,000-metre time trial, she won the team sprint final as well, you can see why there is a lot of focus on her, especially as we've already mentioned, she'll make history if she does it as well, becoming the first Welshwoman to win 4 gold medals at a Commonwealth Games. It's just phenomenal when you think about it. Georgia Holt is trackside for us, keeping abreast of everything that happens. And we're mentioning there Emma Finucane, Georgia. It does feel as though she is really untouchable in the velodrome.
She absolutely is. She sat in 5th behind the Derny. So we pull cards, like playing cards, but it's on an iPad, when we're sat down before the race. So she pulled number 5, so she had to stay in that position until the Derny came off. And she just sat in 5th. And I was getting a bit worried, but with 1 lap to go, she just went, yeah, all right, I'll go to the front. And she just went all the way around the rest of the competitors, went to the front with her teammate, Katie Marchant, well, GB teammate, Katie is racing for Team England, and yeah, just went and won it. It was quite nice, quite simple. She kept herself cool, calm and collected, and yeah, I'm so excited for this gold final because she will have her teammate, Larry Thomas from Wales as well in it. You're not meant to work together. It's against the rules, but you know, I'm sure it's quite comforting knowing you can like race someone who you know. And she is best friends with Katie Marchant of Team England as well, who's also in the gold final. And then she's got the current sprint Olympic champion Elise Andrews, who also won her heat. So she was a second heat after Emma, and she just sat at the front, which is really difficult because you're in the wind, as we say. And, you know, it's more energy sapping than sitting behind someone. So, you know, she looked pretty strong there. Again, cool, calm, collected. So, yeah, we're in for a
would
big
that be her
final.
approach, Elise, that you're saying there, when she wants to go out in front?
Well, so she pulled number 1, so she was on the front from the second the Derny came off, but then she stayed there.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will just go in front of you, and to be honest, I would prefer that in a Kieran race. So, you know, the fact she just sat there and was like, yeah, it's fine, I'll just sit on the front, no biggie. And she just powered away, you know, just went up the gears, just went, you know, just gave the pedals a few pushes and made it look relatively easy while everyone else battled behind her. So, yeah, her and Emma are making it look really easy. But I will add that Elise Andrews has been out in Japan, so that's where Kieran originated. She's been out in Japan on the World Kieran League, basically. So she's got a lot of Kieran experience, and from very, very, literally last week, recently. So, you know, she's going to be on it with the tactics.
This Kieran League, I mean, how often are they racing? Do you know?
Great question. I'm pretty sure it's weekly,
right.
But basically they'll travel to a new track, and I think 48 hours or 24 hours before the race, they hand in their phones, and they're not allowed any outside contact. So yeah, it's pretty, you know, well, there's a lot of security around them, but so they don't leak any tactics or do any collusion, basically, with the betting. So yeah, it's really serious stuff out there.
Georgia, are we expecting anybody to go full Senko in the true Japanese way?
Oh, he's learned something.
Greg, you should see my face. I'm so proud.
You might need to explain it, Georgia. You might need to explain it.
Yes, sorry. So for those who weren't listening the other night, there is a tactic in Kieran called Senko, and it's called going full Senko, and it's a tactic you declare when you're on this Kieran League. But it means as soon as that Derny pulls off, you go full gas. And when you're going full gas for 3 laps, the lactic acid in those legs is unbearable. It's really painful. But you know what? Sometimes it works out because you get ahead of the whole race and you can win it. We saw Jason Kenny go full Senko in Tokyo, and he got his final gold medal by doing that. So it can work. It really can work. So I don't know. I feel like an outside chancer will do that. Emma won't do that. I don't see Elise doing it. I mean, maybe Alessia McCaig or Laurie Thomas, but it's someone who's got to have a lot of what we call length, and that we say that, but we mean endurance. So anyone with a lot of endurance would probably go for that, but I don't see any of the big hitters doing that, to be honest, but I would love to see it, Greg, I'll be honest.
Well, look, I know there's a medal ceremony just about to take place, so we'll leave you for now to respect the anthems that we will be hearing during that, but there is plenty more to come from Georgia. Hopefully you're learning, as we're learning as well, all about the track cycling at these Commonwealth Games, and you're listening to talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
I mean, I wake up every morning now feeling so lucky that Unai Emery's still there.
Yeah.
Because people laugh about these FSR, whatever they're called, financial fair play rules. They're a joke. Look at Aston Villa, right? Finish in the top 4, win the Europa League, and then your best player, Morgan Rogers, leaves. Why can't Aston Villa keep hold of their best players and then say, we're going to get to spend 150 mil like Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then why can't we go and challenge for the title? These rules, they're there to keep the so-called top 6 there. Yeah. And this season coming, the so-called top 6, they call it, will finish in the top 6. I'm sure of it.
Gab,
Aston Villa, with what they're able to bring in, I'm going to be able to challenge.
Gab, I've had a conversation with you.
This time last year, that Unai Emery, this time next year, we'll be lucky to have Unai Emery as the manager. Because it's great on every manager.
Gab, I've had a conversation with you before, and I've said that if a big club like Manchester United comes in for your manager or players, they'll...
Yes, and these Commonwealth Games are drawing to a close. They'll be having the closing ceremony later on tonight, when they will then officially hand over the baton to India who in 4 years' time will be hosting the Commonwealth Games. But what we can, as a takeaway from these events in Glasgow, certainly talk about is the success of Team Australia. They won bronze in the netball, and their success overall has been brilliant at these games, as I've mentioned. Just looking at the medal table, they've won 166 medals. 69 of them have been gold. A fair few of them have been won in the swimming. I think that's fair to say. But it sets it up nicely, I should say, for Australia building to hosting the 2032 Olympics. And they would have looked at these Commonwealth Games as a way of bedding in some of their younger athletes, for sure. Katrina Nissam from Netball Scoop spoke to our very own John Cushing earlier today about the netball, but of course also the success of Team Australia too.
We're here at the Commonwealth Games. It's the final day. Australia have had an incredible games generally. Firstly, what have you made of the games in Glasgow?
Oh, these have been fantastic. The pool rounds were pretty good, but I particularly love the close games, and watching particularly the growth of Scotland. They have gone one better, or two better actually, than what they have in previous years. So that's been really exciting to see. So it's good. It's been really good for the netball overall to see the growth of the sport and the competitiveness.
From a netball point of view, Australia losing the semi-final. Firstly, how did you feel about that? But from a netball point of view, is it a good thing?
As an Australian, I was gutted, but you can't help but be really, really excited for the Jamaicans. They have worked so hard, so tirelessly, and overcome so much adversity to actually get to that point in their careers where they are. So for them to go hopefully one better today, yes, I'm backing the Jamaicans rather than the Kiwis. It is really, really good for the growth of the sport as an overall, yeah.
I know you've sat and watched a lot of netball. What have you made, though, of Glasgow generally staging the games?
Well, this is my first time coming to a Com Games, but I've got no complaints. It's been so good. All the staff, all the volunteers have been really, really good. The whole product overall, it's been really fun to watch. It's been a vibe, and everybody is just out here and just loving sport in general, but everyone's getting behind the netball. And I've even chatted to some fans yesterday. They've never been to a single netball game in their life, but they came for those semi-finals yesterday. So it's been really good.
And obviously we know Australians are very good at swimming. They're very good at netball, usually, not getting the gold this time, but on the athletics track they were amazing as well. Several clean sweeps. Why are the commies, as you call them, so important, and why are they on a par with the Olympics for Australians?
I wouldn't say they're on par. Like when we go to the Olympics, we generally place top 5, but I don't know what it is. Well, swimming obviously because we're so good. Like, you know, we have a lot of water in Australia. It's bloody hot, so we swim a lot. I shouldn't say this, but I am surprised to see how well we're doing in the track and fields. That's been really good. In the velodrome, we're pretty good at that as well. I think it's just the culture in Australia. We love the outdoors. Like, we've got a beautiful environment, so we do generally get outdoors a lot. So we love our sport. Any sport that's on, you speak to an Australian, regardless of what it is, regardless of whether we know the rules or not, we will get out and we will watch it. So we're a very sporting nation. Yeah.
And the fact that Brisbane will stage the Olympics in 2032 is not that far away.
No, that's my home ground actually. So I'm hoping that the netball is in there so that I can actually go along and watch it. We're so excited. There are so many plans already in place. There's so much infrastructure being built already for those games, and it's going to be across the whole of broad of Queensland as well. So up in North Queensland, I believe that's where the rowing is going to be. So it's going to showcase Queensland and Brisbane really, really beautifully, I think.
So Australia really is going to be the centre of the sporting world for the next few years.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And we've got the Netball World Cup next year in Sydney as well. So there's a lot of really, really exciting things coming up sporting-wise for Australia.
Well, congratulations on your bronze medal in the...
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you so much for talking to us.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they have just been incredible, haven't they, at these games? And it all started in the swimming where we were constantly talking about Australia's success when it came to the swimming. They won 37 golds in the swimming, 76 medals in total just in the swimming. That was essentially the first week, really, of these Commonwealth Games. And as I mentioned already, it's been such a huge haul for them to come away with those, what was it, 100 and, what did I say it was? Because now I've lost, 166 medals in total. We should say England are second with 109, 29 of those are gold. But you can't help just be envious of the incredible success. And some of that even translated to the track and field.
Yeah, the track and field, I wrote that down a little bit earlier as well. I mean, they had 12 golds, 11 silver, 11 bronze, 34 medals in track and field alone. They're top of the track and field table, which I don't think anybody really expected. But again, I think it comes down to what we said at the top of the show. They take it that bit more serious. They didn't have their one eye on things like Europeans, which of course swimming and athletics in particular really did. And I think if we'd have fielded a solid track and field team for England in particular.
As in what would be, when you say solid, you mean everyone who's not available for this?
Yeah, all the athletes that decided that they wanted to focus either on the Euros or had niggles and then pulled out right at the last minute. I think if we'd have been fielding a strong team, then that would look very, very different. We would have been higher up the medal table with regards to athletics. Anyway, now the swimming, that is an interesting thing because they obviously field a very strong team. We have fielded most of our best swimmers as well. But I do genuinely believe the fact that they're thinking, do you know what, the Europeans is more important than the Commonwealth Games as it is to the home nations, it seems, from what we're hearing from the swimmers.
Sure.
And again, this is not taking anything away from professionalism or anything else, and we'll hopefully speak to our guest about this a little bit later. But when you do have your head slightly turned by another major and you're thinking, do you know what, my main goal is to win a European gold medal, and the Commonwealth Games is a bit of a warm-up ready for that, then you will take your eye off the ball slightly. And the Australians are that dominant that you can't let up for a moment because they will go out there and they will dominate. So from that point of view, I think it's an interesting mindset. And as I say, they have taken it so serious. This is their major for the year. This is what they all wanted to win. Nearly every interview I've read or seen from the Australians is that they've been working so incredibly hard for this moment. Not the Europeans, not anything else that's going on this year, purely the Commonwealth Games. They wanted to come here in Glasgow and they wanted to do what probably they would have done in Victoria if they hosted it still.
But isn't that always then going to be the issue for the Commonwealth Games? Because the Europeans are always going to be of a similar time. They're always going to have a clash.
Well, no, not always. So when I had the Melbourne Commonwealth Games in 2006, that was held in March. So it's much earlier. So then you make a decision between the indoor season in track and field anyway, and the Commonwealth Games, and predominantly people would go. The Commonwealth Games would be seen bigger than the indoors. So athletes would probably focus a bit more on that. So at that point, it definitely does change things up a little bit. But I don't know. It's funny. I think maybe it's just because I'm a bit older. I'd probably still see the Commonwealth Games as bigger than the Europeans. And maybe that's just because my event always had such great athletes that were in it from the Caribbean, from Australia, from South Africa. We've had absolute killers in long jump terms in particular, and track and field terms from South Africa too. So from that point of view, I think maybe I saw the comms as more difficult, so it's higher up on my priority to try and win than the Europeans. But in other sports, I appreciate that's not the case.
I mean, I'm just looking ahead to the next Commonwealth Games, which is going to be in India. I think they're provisionally saying in October.
Yeah.
So that will mean there won't be that clash.
Yes, and that's how it was for Delhi as well in 2010. So we had an October game. Now, the problem with that is that the season has been very long by that point. Now, I distinctly remember in Delhi in 2010, by the time October came around, I was ready for my break because it's been a long season. Some of the athletes will come out and start competing in April. And if you've had an indoor season as well, you've effectively been competing for the entire year with very little break. So emotionally and physically, you're very tired. So often what happens with those late championships is that performances drop a little bit because people are just generally tired. I mean, before that, you'd have had everything. So the Europeans would have already been and gone by that point. The Diamond League final would have finished. Competitions actually are done for nearly a month before the comms go. So you have to get yourself back into a training camp. You have to sort of try and keep the brain fired up, keep the body as healthy as you possibly can. But you're tired. And again, I lived experience and spoken to many athletes that were out there. You are drained. So it could go both ways. But I do genuinely believe having it at a different time of the year, so not in the height of a European summer, if you like, is a better way of making sure the athletes really want to be there.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to that then in 4 years' time, of course. There's still plenty more to be decided on this final day of the Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
hand up and said you got 10 players better than John Stones.
I said all time. I didn't say Prem, but let's stick to Prem. All right, let's do this.
Go on.
Virgil van Dijk, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Vincent Kompany.
Yeah.
That's five.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we going Tony Adams?
Oh, yeah.
No.
No, you're not going to say...
No, but go on.
Go on. I would.
Campbell.
I'd do Sol Campbell, defo.
And I'm a Tottenham
Sol
fan,
Campbell,
Sol
come
Campbell
on.
out.
Come on, Jamie.
Keep going.
I'm going Sol Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh. Gary Pallister.
Carvalho.
Mate, come on.
Carvalho.
Don't help him. Why are you helping him? Carvalho's not better than John Stones.
Carvalho. Ricardo Carvalho.
Jamie,
give
hear me
me a
out.
break, man.
On his day, prime to prime, one game for a final, Ledley King.
Yeah, Ledley King. What, you telling me Ledley King? Oh, God, Jamie.
Listen, Jamie, not the career, but for one game in his prime.
I watched John Stones playing the Champions League final.
I know he was
City.
unbelievable.
He was unbelievable. So let's.
I hear it, but
like,
you know
come
what
on.
I think, yeah? I heard.
You can't be
Warriors
putting Ledley
added
King
earlier.
above John Stones. He's won 6 Premier League titles.
Phil Jagielka, mate. Phil Jagielka.
Holy shut up, mate. Come on.
I mean, mate, Jamie.
Julian Lescott.
I would go as far as to say if Jan Vertonghen and Alderweireld played in that City team, they might have won the same honours.
Gary Cahill.
They would have won the same honours.
He's on Gary Cahill's level.
You're making a lot of noise, Cole. This is the Commonwealth Games that you're tuning into here on talkSPORT. You're in the company of Greg Rutherford, Olympic gold medalist, Commonwealth gold medalist, world champion, European champion, Diamond League winner as well. Oh, he's done it all. He's done it all.
A long time ago.
Yeah, but it might well be, but you're an esteemed company, and not many people have done all of those things. It has to be said. Hopefully, we'll still get time to talk about 2012 because we still haven't really talked about that. But
to the desk at that
no,
point.
you won't. No, you won't, because it's something we have to cherish. It's amazing. But before all of that, there is still ongoing events, of course, at these Commonwealth Games. The cycling, the track cycling continues. And judo too. Georgie Heath.
Yeah, it wasn't to be for England's Max Gregory in the men's under 100 kilogram final. He lost in less than 2 minutes to Canada's Kyle Rees, but he will come out with a silver medal. So that adds to the gold won by Emma Reid earlier, who, as we know, defended her title there. So silver for Max Gregory, and then we will later on have Scotland's Gregor Miller up in the men's over 100 kilogram bronze medal match.
Georgie, thank you very much. Taking you to the velodrome now, where they are into the finals of the women's keirin. And before the gold medal race, we've had the finals for the placings of 7 to 12. What happened in that one, Joe Shannon?
Yes, Olivia King finished first and fastest, 11.394 seconds over the final 200 metres for King of New Zealand, who finishes 7th, just pipping Lilia Tatarinov of Australia to the post. Tatarinov finishing in 8th. Georgette Rand of England taking 9th place. Maud Azri of Malaysia in 10th. Capewell of England in 11th. And Iona Moyer of Scotland finishing 12th. All eyes now on Emma Finucane and the gold medal final.
Joe, thank you very much. We will be taking you to the track to speak to Georgia Holt. Let's do that right now, just before this gold medal race gets underway. Georgia, a quick question. This finals that we've just seen, the 7th to 12th place, why do they do it? Why is it important?
Well, a lot of the time, especially 2 years out from the Games, it can be to do with qualifying points for the Olympics. And also, we're obsessed with numbers in this sport. So we need to make sure everyone has a ranking. So the 7 to 12 is why we have that. But Greg, you're going to love this. The Australian Lilia Tatarinov, she did full Senko. I said I didn't expect it, but she went. Georgette Rand, she said she took the lead of the race. And then the Australian just came right round her and just kept going. And I said to the producer next to me, I was like, oh my gosh, full Senko. It was great. It was
What
a
you'd
really
like
good
to hear
race.
as well is off air, Nat also said to me that she's happily going to give it a go and she wants to go full Senko on the bike.
Oh my gosh.
So
I can't wait.
That's coming up.
Full Senko. Do you know what that would be? I'd last about a metre and then I fail miserably. Listen, I know
It's all right. We'll get you on the tandem. We'll do it on the tandem
even
together.
better. I just want to be the Derny rider.
I know.
Look, I know this final is about to take place, George, and I know they're going to go quiet for a moment, so we'll let you just quieten down for that. But this, of course, is potentially history in the making then for Emma Finucane, who goes in this one. Let's hand you back then to our commentator for this, Joe Shannon.
Yes, a hat-trick of gold medals at this Commonwealth Games for Emma Finucane, looking to become the first woman from Wales to win 4 gold medals at a single Commonwealth Games. The athletes are in position. Clonan and McCaig of Australia in the yellow and green. Marchant of England in the red and white. Andrews of New Zealand in all black. And Finucane and Thomas in red and black. And the Derny, which is that motorised bike, starts at about 25 kilometres an hour or so before speeding up to roughly 45 kilometres an hour. The cyclists have to stay behind the Derny, the pacemaker if you like, while they jockey for position. And then with roughly 2.5 to 3 laps to go, the Derny pulls off the track and the riders will launch into an all-out sprint to cross the finishing line first. That is what makes the Keirin so exciting. That is what makes it the race that it is. And a capacity crowd here at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome to watch the action unfold. At the moment, the Derny is still in position, but it won't be long until the rider of the Derny tails off, and then we're into this sprint finish, which is going to be truly something as the Derny pulls away, and Elise Andrews of New Zealand has the lead from Finucane in second position. Larry Thomas is currently in fourth as they go around the corner up towards the finishing line. 2 laps to go now as Finucane takes the lead. Emma Finucane, who is gunning for a 4th gold medal at this Commonwealth Games, and there are only seconds to go now into the final lap, and it is still Emma Finucane by a nose at the moment, so narrowly ahead of her Australian opponent Clonan. McCaig is there as well, but into the final straight, here goes Finucane, crosses the finishing line first, and it is history for a sporting legend of Wales. Emma Finucane with a 4th gold medal of the 2026 Commonwealth Games, the first woman in Wales sporting history to win 4 gold medals at a single Games. The Wales fans cannot believe it. Emma Finucane's family, who are here, cannot believe it. She takes her hands off the handlebars, big beaming smile on the face of Emma Finucane. What a sprint to the finish that was. 11.321 seconds over the final 200 metres. Finucane takes the gold, Elise Andrews of New Zealand the silver, and Christina Clonan of Australia just edging out her teammate, her compatriot McCaig, into the bronze medal position. But it is all about Emma Finucane here in Glasgow, one of the stars of the Games in 2026. She'd already won the women's team sprint finals, the women's sprint finals, and the women's 1,000 metre time trial final. 3 gold medals before today, and now Emma Finucane has added number 4, and she cycles over to the very edge of the track where she is embraced and hugged by her family members. The big flag is unfurled with the red of the Welsh Dragon, and Emma Finucane roared across the finishing line there. It was a ride of composure, and then when it came to the clutch moment, that final sprint, a ride of pure power and ferocity from Finucane. She wins a history-making gold, Andrews the silver, and Clonan the bronze here in Glasgow.
Joe, history in the making. Thank you very much then. Emma Finucane becoming the most decorated Welsh woman in Commonwealth Games history. Let's take you back to Georgia Holt, get reaction from her. Georgia, tell us how the reaction was in the velodrome to that race, and of course how you feel about it, because I'm sure you know Emma Finucane really well.
Oh my gosh, guys, I'm crying. Oh my God, it was amazing. Wow, I'm running out of words for Emma now. I like a 4th medal, and she took a minute to decide what she was going to do, and I was like, oh gosh. She was coming from 5th, and she went straight to the front, and she just sat at the front, and no one came past her. The Aussies tried. Alessia McCaig and Christina Clonan both kind of were bunched up there, and then Elise Andrew was just sat on her wheel, and Emma just fended them off. Like, they all, by that last lap, they were so tired, and oh my gosh, they just weren't coming past her. And I thought at one point Alessia McCaig was going to, and she didn't. But yeah, Emma, just what a beast. What a demon on the track. You know, she is the nicest person off the track. But on that track, you know, she'll be like, you know, I was ready to beat her. And she is an absolute demon. You wouldn't believe, like, the difference in attitude that you see. And she has composed herself throughout this whole week. You know, she's had the weight of Wales on her shoulder, and I'm in awe of that woman. Like, she's 23, you know, she's been around for so long now, and when I started cycling, we were on junior camps with her when she was a junior, and you know, it was just little old Emma, and now to see her thriving and being able to maintain such elite performances again and again and again and again, and it's a Commonwealth Games, you know, it isn't easy to just keep doing this, and she doesn't take anything for granted. She's soaked up every single moment of these games and just said anything from this point was a bonus, and after the second goal, anything from this point is also a bonus. So, like, you know, she said that again and again and again, and she just takes everything in her stride, and she's going to be around for so long, and she's just going to be dominant for so long.
I was just going to say, sorry as well, Georgia, she obviously mentioned as well, you said about the whole weight of the Welsh nation on her. Earlier on in the programme, she did seem, she was getting quite teary after medal, was talking about how much pressure was on her, but at such a young age, to still manage to deal with it how she has 4 times, I mean, that's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how she does it. I really don't. You know, she just somehow gets all of this pressure and she just balls it up deep within her. I saw her on sprint day, and she was just warming up in the corner right near me in the mix zone where I interview people, and you could see this little fire within her, and she was like, yeah, I'm just going to do this for Wales. I've got this. Mm-hmm. But she's able to still stay calm and psych herself up for every race and stay just in pure concentration mode, even through I think we had like a 2-hour break that day, and even through then, you know, at lunch she was just totally in the zone, and it is so draining to stay in the zone for a whole sprint day, a whole Kieran day, a whole wait in the morning before your kilo time trial that she then won. To do that and still be at the top of your game and not get too fatigued. Like, they are all tired, don't get me wrong, their legs are killing them, I can tell you that now. Yeah, just keep putting out performance after performance and still be tactically astute. You know, when you get tired, the tactics are out the window. You just need to get round. But to be able to know and make those decisions still, yeah, wow. She is the best for a reason, and she is, you know, the queen of the track. Like, forget the Australians, they've done amazing, but Emma is just the talk of the town.
Yeah, she very much is the story from the velodrome, that is for sure. Georgia, for now, thank you very much. And just to reiterate, that was one speed of around 72 kilometres we were looking at, which equates to around 45, 46 miles an hour. That's how fast they're going around this track. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that speed around those tight turns as well. We'll have to ask Georgia about the sort of G-force pressures that you feel when you're going that fast as well, because it's a lot on the body. Yeah. She was mentioning there as well, they are tired. Of course they're tired. And for Emma to go 4 times, and obviously with all of her qualification rounds, everything else as well, to have that emotional rollercoaster, massively up because she's just become Commonwealth champion. Okay, Dan, I have to get myself ready again. Do it again and again. And one last time. The fact that she's managed to come out the other end of it is incredible. She's going to need a long, heavy break somewhere warm and sunny.
I agree.
With an ocean, I think, because it's going to take its toll.
And the odd massage, maybe.
I mean, 10 a day.
She deserves it. Absolutely deserves it. Look, there's more to come from the velodrome. A couple more finals taking place there. And it really is coming to an end, the 2026 Commonwealth Games. It's been a blast, but there's still more to come with us here on talkSPORT.
Staying with Liverpool, there are some reports that they have now made a formal offer worth £100 million for Bradley Barcola. I reported a couple of days ago that Barcola wanted to make the move to Anfield, but you've not been too inspired by this possibility.
No, I'm with Jamie Carragher in the camp that I saw him the other day talking about it. We have like 3-4 left wingers already, players who can play there. We need to fill the void by Salah. Frimpong was meant to help with that, but we know he's got medical injury issues last year and not quite what we like to see out wide right when he did play. We need a right winger. It's concerning. And we're going out and we're getting another pacey player who plays on the left majority of the time. So unless Rio's going to get put on the right, square pegs, round holes, all that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't love it because of the money. If he was 60, 70 million, and I get it, he's not.
Yeah.
You think, okay, it's a no-brainer. Then you maybe...
Yes, and they are drawing to a close, but that doesn't mean there's not sporting action still ongoing. We'll take you back to the velodrome and Joe Shannon.
Yes, this is the women's C4 to C5 1,000 metre time trial final. We are 2 cyclists through. And Morgan Newbury of England is now off and underway. Leading the way after 2 cyclists, Erin Normoyle of Australia, 1 minute 13.542 seconds, and Leisha Das of India currently in second place and more than 20 seconds behind that time. So it's an opportunity here for Morgan Newbury, who enjoyed mixed emotions in the 4,000 metre individual pursuit a couple of days ago. She broke the C5 world record but had to settle for an overall silver medal in the end. 500 metres through here is Newbury, and at the moment 6.039 seconds off the time of Erin Normoyle, who is at the top and currently in the gold medal position for Australia. So Newbury with quite a bit of work to do here as she is urged on by the crowd. They're all applauding as you hear the sound of the bell into the last 250 metres, and Newbury is still a little bit of the way behind Normoyle here. 5.555 seconds or so as she rounds the final corner and into the final straight. A sprint finish here for Morgan Newbury, and she easily moves into second place, but not really troubling the time of Erin Normoyle, who is ahead of her in that gold medal position. Morgan Newbury 4.790 seconds slower than Normoyle. 1 minute 18.332 seconds is her time over 1,000 metres. There are 3 cyclists remaining: Tara Nayland of Australia, Nicole Murray of New Zealand, and England's Kadina Cox, all still to come here in the time trial final now.
Joe, thank you very much. And we will return to the velodrome then to check in on Kadina Cox, in particular her progress, to see whether or not she can end these Commonwealth Games with success. I mean, that's the intriguing thing with this as well. I sort of find that all of these cyclists now just have to sit and wait. It's not like the hot seat though at the athletics, is it?
Yeah, if you finish the race, then you're sitting there waiting to see if you're a fastest loser. And then when we had that on the first night of athletics, the rain was so heavy.
Oh, it was awful.
It were basically in monsoon conditions, sitting in a chair, waiting to find out if you're going through. And a lot of the time they don't go through.
Yes.
So it's not a nice one. But yeah,
and with that though, by the way, so you had Heat 1, so the fastest losers, there was 2, I think, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
They would sit down, then the next Heat would come along. If they were faster in that, then they'd have to basically do musical chairs. Out you go, we're going in now. It just, I mean, it added a bit of drama, but equally you feel a bit sorry for the athletes. And
Yeah,
just sit
you
it
do.
out.
And actually, I mean, it wasn't a thing when I was competing. It's a more recent thing. I think it's to try and make it a bit more interesting for the people watching. But generally what used to happen, you'd go out, you go back, you start doing your warm down, and then a sheet would be listed and you'd see whether or not you qualified or not.
Oh, really? No screens to tell you? It was just a sheet?
I mean, this was the Stone Age, yeah. TVs hadn't been invented in my day. So
I thought it was right to stress how old you are. But you're still younger than me. We're going to go back to Joe Shannon and the latest action at the Velodrome.
And England's Kadina Cox is underway, the 35-year-old from Leeds in West Yorkshire, as she chases a medal position here at the women's C4 to C5 1,000-metre time trial final. Erin Normoyle of Australia is currently in the gold medal position, but at this pace through 375 metres, Kadina Cox is going to overtake her. A very promising start here from the veteran as she goes around towards the finish line here at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome, 625 metres through, and urged on by the crowd in her red and white, the red and white of England. 250 metres now remain for Kadina Cox, and you can hear the ringing of the bell. She's well inside the time set by Erin Normoyle of Australia, and it looks as though Kadina Cox of England is going to go to the top of the standings with 2 cyclists still remaining in this time trial final. Here she goes, a final sprint to the finish, and an excellent time of 1 minute 9.943 seconds, and that moves her into the gold medal position. She takes the acclaim of the crowd, a little wave to the crowd from Kadina Cox. That is a tremendous cycle, average speed going around the track throughout all of those 1,000 metres of over 50 kilometres per hour, and she now is in pole position to win gold with 2 cyclists still to come. They are Nicole Murray of New Zealand and Tara Neyland of Australia now.
Joe, thank you very much. That's a really impressive ride by Kadina Cox then to go top of the pile as things stand. But as Joe was saying, there's a couple more cyclists to come to see whether or not she can hold on to the gold position. But she should be securing at least a bronze from that ride,
Fingers crossed.
of course. But let's go back to Georgia Holt, who can give us reaction to that and just how good a ride that was for Kadina Cox.
Oh, guys, that was such a good ride from Kadina. I spoke to her just before she started warming up, and I haven't seen her all week, and I was asking her how she's feeling, and she was like, yeah, you know, I feel okay. She's had a few, like, a bit of not the greatest week, like, health-wise, but she can bounce back from adversity, that woman. She is such a strong woman, and you know what? It was such a good ride from her. She had a really fast opening lap, and then she just held on. So, you know, she's got a 15-second second lap, a 16-second third lap, and a 17-second fourth lap. So, like, to hold on the way she did is really well. And a 1 minute 9. I mean, some of the Olympic women who did the kilo yesterday weren't doing those times, let me tell you that. So that is, you know, just how speedy that she was going. I think Emma did a 10, was it a 1:03 to win? So, like, she's only 6 seconds off, really. And, you know, some of the women, if I can even get it up right in front of me, that, you know, that is so fast. And, you know, lots, even our national championships, you know, people weren't doing that. So if Kadina had ridden in the Olympic version yesterday, she would have come 12th. And that is absolutely not to be sniffed at, because that just shows how strong she is. And I know we shouldn't compare really with para and Olympic because they are totally different entities, but it's just for perspective of how good a ride that was. And what a woman Kadina Cox is, and I'm really hoping she can like hang on. And it's quite special when you're waiting, you've finished your race and you've done all you can. And I don't know about you, Greg, but when you're sat waiting for everyone else to jump, you're sat there going, well, I've done what I can, and it's quite a liberating feeling.
It is at times, yeah. In certain majors, they'll flip the order, so then if you're leading the competition, you are the last person that will jump. We had that yesterday with Jasmine Sawyer in the women's long jump
Who
as well.
decided, nah, I'm not doing it.
Right,
I've already
exactly.
won.
Then you can decide to pull out if you don't want to, which is great after 5 rounds. But again, in others, when they don't flip it, it's exactly that. You just got it down. You're like, look, do you know what? I've done the work. I've put it out there. It's just got to see what everybody else can do at that point. And it is, you're right, it's quite a liberating feeling.
It's such a good feeling. And, Cad's just got down there. She's got off her bike. She's now actually... Nicole Murray of New Zealand has just gone and done a 1:13. So Kadina is at worst going to get a silver medal for Team England on her debut Commonwealth Games. So what a win. What a win. I mean, I'm sure Kadina will be thinking, oh, I want the gold, really. But
she definitely will. Knowing Kadina as well as I do, she definitely will.
Exactly. We know what this woman's like. But, for your debut Commonwealth Games, I mean, she needs to be so proud of that, because also here in the track, it has not been fast. It's really not been running fast, just because of the temperature and the humidity in here. So, 1:09 is insane and definitely deserving of a medal.
Georgia, for now, thank you very much. And again, we need to reiterate, this is a para race once more. And you saying you know Kadina?
I've known her for a very long time, actually, since she was young, before she had her stroke as well.
Right.
So Kadina has MS and has struggled massively from it. So I first got to know Kadina when I would go to Old Trafford to watch United. She was somebody that worked there. So she was a young budding athlete, track athlete at that point. And she was working at Old Trafford as well. And then she disappeared for a period of time. We'd always talk, because again, it was after the Olympics for me, so I'd always sort of talk about track and field. Disappeared for a while, and then all of a sudden I see her pop up on TV. And what we have to remember with Kadina Cox is that she's not just a cyclist. If you've never come across Kadina before, she's also a Paralympic champion in track and field as well. So we're talking about a good sprinter, both on the track of cycling and on the track of athletics. So a remarkable athlete. And I'm fingers crossed. Come on, Kadina, you can win this.
Yes. Well, look, we might as well go back then for this final race to see whether or not it will be a gold for Kadina Cox or not. Joe Shannon.
Tara Neeland of Australia, who holds the world record in the women's C4 1,000-metre time trial, is off and underway. The time to beat of Kadina Cox, currently in the gold medal position, is 1 minute 9.943 seconds. So there is nothing that Kadina Cox can do but watch. Though there is a knowing look to Kadina from Morgan Newbury as Tara Neeland of Australia starts over a second behind Kadina Cox through the first 375 metres. So from Team England's perspective, this is just the start they would have wanted, but it is still tense at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome. Halfway through, this is the final cyclist, Tara Neeland of Australia. This in the 1,000-metre time trial final. At the moment, Cox is still in the gold medal position. As you hear the ring of the bell, she can barely watch Kadina Cox here. These are nervy moments into the last 100 metres or so, and Neeland moves ahead. Neeland moves ahead by 0.2 seconds. This is going to be very close into the finish, and Neeland has done it with a world record time of 1 minute 8.761 seconds. Well, you have to say that is magnificent. And Australia takes the gold. Kadina Cox is pipped at the very last. She will still secure a silver medal, which is an achievement in itself. But you have to say that is a magnificent piece of cycling from Tara Neeland of Australia. 1 minute 8.761 seconds, a world record time. Over 51 kilometres an hour, her average speed across the track through each of those 3 laps. Congratulations to Neeland and Australia. They take yet another gold at this extraordinary 2026 Commonwealth Games that it has been for them. Cox, with great pride, I'm sure, despite the late disappointment, will take silver, and Erin Normoyle of Australia in the bronze medal position now.
Joe, thank you very much. Let's bring in Georgia Holt then once more. And Georgia, it looked as though it was going to plan for Kadina Cox, and the fact that Neeland was trailing for quite a long time at that race, but in the end, crikey, that power came through for her.
Absolutely. I mean, Neeland, what a kilo from her. That's such a good kilo. So if you actually, for the technical terms, she kind of flatlined it. So each lap was, after her first lap, was 15 seconds long, whereas Kadina did 15 seconds, 16 seconds, then 17 seconds. So, you know, Neeland rode a really level race, whereas Kadina went out with a bang, like she does, because she is a true sprinter. So, you know, you do die a death, basically, in those races. So, yeah, it's just a totally different way of attacking a kilo, which is traditionally a sprint event. But if you've got a bit of endurance, like Neeland clearly has, it's worked really well for her. And even so with the factored times, because this is a para event, Tara Neeland is actually a C4 and Kadina is a C5, so Kadina being less impaired than Tara. But even with the factored times, Kadina was still slower than Tara. So even if it was to be a race without the factoring, Kadina would still have the silver and Tara would still have the gold. So it's actually quite interesting, which I was just talking to someone about. So it's a really different way of doing it with the factoring. But I mean, for Kadina, she will be really happy with a silver. She rode a gorgeous race, and I mean, Tara will be over the moon with a gold as well. But yeah, Morgan Newbury of Team England, who was in that same race, she's come 5th, and her and Kadina were on the TV in the velodrome, just looking at each other going, oh, because that 3rd and 4th lap, you get the half lap splits. So they were looking at each other going, oh, maybe it was 4 tenths behind, then 2 tenths, and then she was up, and everyone went, oh no. But Kadina, you know, she takes that. It's not a loss. She still won the silver, but she's taken that, inverted commas, loss very, very graciously, especially when you've got a camera in your face. So yeah, buzzing for her.
Georgia, thank you very much for now. Incredible, and a world record time as well, we should reiterate, for Tara Neeland there. It was a superb race from her. But a silver on the board for Kadina Cox. Maybe we'll review that, because as you say, you know her really well. It'd be nice to get your thoughts on that too. But you are tuning into the Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
Now, the Asian Football Confederation in the last couple of hours have come out and condemned Gianni Infantino's proposals to sell off
very late condemnations, aren't they? They're all panicking.
Competitions. Well, they are. Obviously, UEFA have come out strongest by suggesting they would boycott all FIFA competitions, including the Men's and Women's World Cup, the Club World Cup. There's actually an under-20 Women's World Cup that's due to start in September, so we may find out if they'll go through with that threat very soon. UEFA's 55 member associations held an emergency meeting earlier this week, and as I say, they voted a boycott if FIFA proceeds with plans to sell stakes in its competitions to private investors. There was a statement released by FIFA. I think it was 4 o'clock this morning UK time, so we were all napping. They said nobody is selling football, but they did vow to continue with the controversial proposal to sell stakes in its competition to private investors. FIFA, in their statement, claimed the consultation process had been, quote, disrupted by incorrect media reports.
My answer to this is that everyone always screams about FIFA's a bit of a dictatorship, but it's actually a democracy whereby
This is the Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT, which is slowly but surely drawing to a close. It's sad when you're in that bubble for so long, like we've been.
I know we've felt very much in the bubble.
I know. It's been a real joyous occasion to be part of this coverage on the talkSPORT network. But it is coming to an end, and we've only got, I think, one more final now in the Velodrome. It's a long one, it has to be said, but that is still to come, which is the 40 kilometre, isn't it? The 40 kilometre points race. And that's coming up shortly, but I don't think we'll take the whole race live, of course, but we'll obviously bring you the highlights of it and check in with Joe Shannon as well. They're currently also just holding the medal ceremony for Emma Finucane, who won the women's Keirin not that long ago, to become the most decorated Welsh athlete when it comes to the Commonwealth Games. Quite an incredible feat for her. 4 golds she's won at these Commonwealth Games as well. But we want to talk boxing. And I'm delighted to say joining us is someone who knows what it's like to win a medal at the Commonwealth Games, as he does at the Olympics too. And I'm talking Lewis Richardson. How are you? Good afternoon, Lewis.
Hello, both. Just a little bit sad. I'm going to miss these introductions from you, Natalie.
Well, we'll just have to do regular Zoom chats just to catch up with you.
That'd be great.
Well, it's my last day on the show as well. I mean, last day in talkSPORT. So I think I'm just going to be
you're going to be marshalled out.
How about every day we just come together, we just have these nice little catch-up little chats,
nice. That would be nice.
That'd be great.
But Lewis, what we'll do is we're going to talk in general terms, if you don't mind, because some people might have missed what's been going on at the boxing this time around at the Commonwealth Games. And when you look back on Team England for a start, what do you make of their exploits at these games?
I mean, I think as a whole they've done fantastic, and yeah, just from a boxing perspective, I think there's great talent come through. There's some guys and some females who have certainly put their names in the headlines for all the right reasons, I should add. There's always seems to be some controversy around boxing, but thankfully the home nations have conducted themselves in a great way, and there's been some real talent, and we come out with hope I'm right in saying 4 golds, 3 silvers, and 3 bronze. Two.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
4, 3, 3. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so it's some fantastic performances and some real breakout performances, and this will put them. One, it will have been a fantastic week, 10 days for them. Also, put them in great stead for the future, and obviously LA coming up in 2 years' time.
It's something I've been wanting to ask you most days, actually, because obviously we talked early on about how the Olympics, from the boxing point of view, was not seen as the best result in the world. Yourself come away with a medal, and then a lot of talk of British boxing obviously not being where it needs to be. When you look at something like the Commonwealth Games and the performances that you've seen, where do you see British boxing when obviously everybody comes back together, it's not the home nations anymore, heading towards the LA Games? Do you think you're in a good place, and are these guys all going to be there, or are we going to see some different faces as well?
Do you know what? I think this is a pretty solid group, and I think we will see some very familiar faces in LA in a couple of years. What I would say is they've had fantastic prep over the last 18 months. There's been a lot of governance issues in the past with boxing, and there has been a huge risk of it being taken out of major events like the Olympic Games and the Commonwealth Games. Thankfully, World Boxing have stepped up and being recognised, and they're doing a great job at the moment. So let's hope that continues. But with those World Boxing events that they've been hosting over the last sort of 18 months, it's provided an amazing experience for the boxers, and in particular the GB boxers, because they are boxing some of the best boxers, athletes in the world, week in, week out, month in, month out now. So we wasn't always exposed to that in the previous cycles. They tried, but where there were certain conflicts and certain governance issues, it sort of restricted that. Whereas, the team now are getting fantastic exposure, and it puts them in a great position to, in a couple of years, to hopefully bring back a few more medals than we did in Paris.
What were the reasons that potentially boxing was going to be removed then, if we go a bit more into that governance side of things?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of corruption claims, particularly in the Rio Olympics, and there was a document that came out, and it showed some horror stories really, and there was a former governing body which was heavily sort of tainted around the corruption sort of scenarios, and some real shocking decisions. And boxing's a subjective sport, so we're always going to get that term robbery chucked about quite often, but there were some real bad ones in the past. And Tokyo, I would say, certainly cleared itself up a bit. And in Paris, I would argue it did also, but there was still some real blurred lines and some grey areas. But thankfully, as I said, World Boxing have come in and feel like they've got it in a much stronger position now.
What would you say if people are listening in right now and thinking about an amateur boxer in comparison to a pro? Are there differences? What are the major differences?
There are certainly differences in the sports. I mean, the obvious is the duration or the amount of rounds. So as an amateur boxer in the Olympic sport, you're doing 3-minute rounds. As a professional, when you fight for titles, you're doing 12. So my first 2 professional fights were 6 rounds. I will move up to 8 rounds and then to 10 rounds and then to 12 rounds. So there's the obvious differences there. You wear a vest in amateur boxing, you don't wear a vest in professional boxing. And then the gloves are slightly smaller as a professional also. So that's something people don't always know. That the gloves are smaller. It's a bit more of an entertainment business. It's a lot more marketability. So there are certainly different factors.
We talked on it briefly yesterday as well about talking of promoters potentially looking at some of the fighters that have been at this Commonwealth Games. And of course, Ruby White was the main name we were talking about. Do you think after this comms, any of the athletes' heads will be turned? I mean, you said no matter what, we have to keep her. But she's obviously become a much bigger name because of this Commonwealth Games. Is there a chance someone like Ruby could move on to professional fighting?
Certainly. We had a very good amateur last year, and he won a World Championship bronze medal in the World Champs, and he was a hopeful for the LA Olympics, but he decided to make that transition a few months ago. So I guess the GB system lost out on a real talent there, and we have, honestly, believe me, we have some fantastic talents in this squad at the moment, and the promoters will certainly be interested in signing them, because from a business point of view, their profile, their stocks will rise considerably if they go and win an Olympic medal and do well at the Olympics. So we almost want to get them whilst they're a little bit younger and a little bit more, I guess, inexperienced potentially. But that being said, there's fantastic stories of boxers who turn pro young, like your Daniel Dubois, like your Moses Atumas, who go on to achieve amazing things. So I think it just shows the path can be, you can be successful on either path. Certain people decide to go down the Olympic route and then turn professional. Certain people decide to go early, but there's no recipe, or there's no right way for success. This is about how you guide your career and how it's managed.
I mean, Ruby White was such a story when you consider her age and the fact that she'd come into these Commonwealth Games unbeaten, and it was actually only in her final bout, the gold medal fight that she was in, that she lost, and that was her, what was it, 69th fight that she ended up losing in, having been unbeaten previously. Now, just in terms of, again, when you're talking about amateurs, does that sound like a lot of fights for a 19-year-old, or is that just the standard number as such?
It is quite a lot. I think I would have probably been at a similar amount at that age. And I mean, even for a female and such a a small weight as well, it's hard to always get the opponents. That being said, female boxing is booming right now, and there's I've seen over the years how much female boxers improve sort of firsthand, and it's only going to keep getting better and better. But in regards to numbers of bouts, I mean, some of the guys and the girls on the squad have had 100 plus. I ended my amateur career on 126 bouts. I won 101 of those. I lost 25. So, a good record, but I still had 25 losses. And I think it's the ability to come back from those losses as an amateur really make you who you are. And obviously, as a pro, you want to keep that. You want to keep the O. You want to stay undefeated. But it just shows you can come through the adversity. You can come through the setbacks. And I always say I go into schools and I go and give talks sometimes, and I say, it's never a lesson. It's never a loss. It's always a lesson. It's the ability to grow from that and come back a better athlete, but also a better person.
Lewis, do you know what? We've loved talking to you throughout these Commonwealth Games. We've always come away learning something new and just finding you so interesting to talk to. So finally, I just want to ask about you. What is next for you?
Oh, fantastic, Natalie. Thank you, bro. You know what? There'll be an announcement tomorrow, actually, on my socials. But
go on, give it to us now. Go on, Lewis. What we got? Exclusive.
So about me. So obviously, I had a very successful amateur career. I turned professional. I had 2 professional bouts. All went well. Won both, in convincing fashion. Unfortunately, suffered an injury in December last year. Actually, it was on Christmas Eve. It was a nightmare. I was sparring, getting ready for my next bout, and in the last round, I ended up sustaining an injury. So I've been out for a little while, but the announcement for my return will be out tomorrow. But it'll be late September, and I'm super excited to get back in the ring. It's everything happens for a reason, and I just think the injury is obviously really frustrating, but it allows me to focus on a couple other bits, and now also it makes me appreciate the love for the game I still have, and I'm ready to get in there and build some momentum, and then middle of next year you'll see me fighting for titles and see me
we
win.
love that. We love that. Obviously, we've got to be there.
Yeah.
We've got to be there in September. Yeah. We'll be there.
Absolutely.
Get the band back together, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Lewis, honestly, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much for being with us throughout the Commonwealth Games. It's been brilliant.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
You too, and best of luck. Yeah, absolutely. Best of luck to your pro career as well. Just trying to check in with what we're doing next. Producer, hello. Do you want me to do this or go to a break? Yes, don't do this. Sorry. My apologies. I just wanted to double check we had the time. Commonwealth Sport President Donald Ricare has been speaking about the success of these games in the last few minutes with our reporter Michael Waydock.
Well, here we are just a couple of hours away from the closing ceremony. How would you sum up Glasgow 2026?
I would sum it up as this has been an exciting, brilliant game, very successful, exceedingly great performances. The venues have been super, the athletes have enjoyed themselves, but above all, the competition has really been electric. So I would say that Glasgow 2026 has been a great success.
And when you talk about these games being a bridge to the future, what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that, as some people might know, in 2023, in November, we had no games. So in many ways, we had to reimagine and reset our kind of sporting program and our strategy in terms of how are we going to ensure that the games remain credible, sustainable, and affordable. So with our new reset agenda, with Glasgow coming in with less than 18 months to go and put on the games, this has now put us in a good stead, because now from here we'll be closing in less than 2 hours time. We'll be closing down the ceremonies, believe it or not. It's 11 days of great sport. We then look to 2027. We'll have our youth games in Malta, but also look to Ahmedabad in 2030 for the centenary games, which will be then in November next year. We'll be launching the 2034 process, where already we're seeing several cities and countries interested. So in many ways, what Glasgow has demonstrated by having these games successfully hosted is that we can have smart, affordable, and let's say reimagined games going forward. So in many ways, this is a bridge to the next edition of our movement.
Just finally, what's been your highlight?
My highlight has been having the games. My highlight has been seeing our para-athletes do exceedingly well. My highlight has been seeing several dreams of these young athletes, seeing countries like Rwanda, British Virgin Islands, Fiji beating England. So seeing some of these countries that would typically not be on the podium shining through, seeing all the faces of all these athletes being supported by a great team of volunteers, a great team of the organized committee. So for me, the key highlight has been the true celebration of what sport brings, and the 74 countries and the 3,000 athletes truly enjoying themselves, including the nice weather.
And he's absolutely right. I think it's just been a celebration of sport in Glasgow, that's for sure. And there's more to come in the final hour of the show. And next, we're going to be joined by a triple Olympic champion. That's in a few minutes here on the Commonwealth Games Kickoff Show.
Let's bring in Terry Gibson, Spanish football expert. Terry, always good to speak to you. Lots of news stories over in Spain at the moment. Let's start with that Marcus Rashford farewell post to Barcelona. Looks like his hopes of return to the Camp Nou are now very much over.
Yes, it does, and I think it was a blow to him when Anthony Gordon. It must have been kind of awkward when the England team met up for the World Cup when Anthony Gordon had already completed his move to Barcelona. Marcus Rashford's future was hanging in the air, and then they signed Karim Adeyemi. So it's not going to happen now for Marcus Rashford. I have to be honest, I'm really surprised. I thought it was a good value in terms of the transfer fee, and I thought his form last season was as good as you would expect, and he couldn't have done any more. He scored some important goals. He actually effectively got the goal that won them the league title. He was popular with his teammates and popular with the fans. So I'm surprised. Even when Anthony Gordon signed, I still thought there was a possibility that Rashford would still go. But the signing of Adeyemi has put a stop to that.
Is it just wages? Because obviously Anthony Gordon would command a much lower weekly salary than Rashford.
But he was £80 million. Rashford was 26.
Yeah.
So 26 million, slightly difference in their ages as well. People are forgetting they've got Rafinha that plays there as well. So the problem positions that everyone thought they had, and they still have, are centre forward, Lewandowski leaving the club, and they should have bought a better centre back than what they currently have.
Yes, these Commonwealth Games are coming to an end. We're pretty much into the final hour of the sporting event before the closing ceremony gets underway to officially close it and, of course, then hand over the baton to India, which will host the next Commonwealth Games in 4 years' time. They are currently in the men's 40-kilometre points race with 129 laps to go. So that tells you how lengthy that one is. But when it comes to laps or maybe lengths in the pool, see what I've done there?
Like we did there.
I try.
Very good.
We certainly know someone who is very, very adept at swimming. He's won
superlatives out there.
I'm trying to link it now. I've lost my train of thought. But anyway, I'm delighted to say, I mean, I can certainly say he's a triple Olympic gold medalist. Tom Dean joins us here on talkSPORT. Tom, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well,
Tom, thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
We do appreciate you coming on, Tom, and thank you so very much for that. Obviously, the swimming came to a close a few days ago, and, you know, when you look at what you achieved at these games in Glasgow, a silver and a bronze medal for you, a bronze in the 200-metre medley, the individual medley for you. How do you assess your own games, Tom?
Yeah, I was happy with it. Look, last commies in Birmingham, I had a pretty mega medal haul that I was really tough with. So this time coming in, it was a little bit different. I've been battling a bit of a shoulder injury this season, so I didn't really know what to expect. So to get the individual medal and then put down that relay performance, I was pretty chuffed with it. It was an interesting commies, Commonwealth Games from the results of the swimming, and I know that you two will have followed it quite closely. But you saw some kind of up and down results across the board from all the nations. So I was really tough with it, and 2 more international medals, I'll always be really, really happy with that. So yeah, to walk out representing England was very, very cool, and it's such a rare opportunity that we get to do it. I just tried to take it all in, but no, really, really tough with it all in.
You mentioned your medal haul from the previous Commonwealth Games. Is it 7? You took 1 gold and the rest silvers?
7, yeah.
I mean that within itself is absolutely mind-blowing.
And that's just the Commonwealth Games we're talking about.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, if we look at
endless.
Honestly, you probably have no space left on the wall for the amount of medals that you've won during your career. It is ridiculous. But when we're talking about medals and massive medal hauls, please explain to us what it's like when you are constantly hearing this Australian national anthem. And in your opinion, why are they so good?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good question. I was walking around my house yesterday and I found myself humming the Australian national anthem.
You're not joining them. You're sticking with us.
I don't ever want to do that again. You do hear it a lot. Look, the Aussies are so strong. I read a stat somewhere that they won all 17 of the freestyle events. So that's 6 men's, 6 women's, and all the relays, the mixed relays. I mean, they're a force to be reckoned with at the Commonwealth Games. I think there's a combination of factors. Look, they brought a huge team. They brought a really strong team. This is an event that's very, very important to them, that other sports and other countries maybe don't have as an absolute focus. You know, take athletics, for example. There are quite a few big names that aren't present, aren't they, from the home nations at the athletics this time through. But for Australia, and especially for swimming within Australia, this is a really, really important thing for them on their calendar. That they're always a strong country. Home nations for us, we are split into obviously, Scotland, Wales, England, Northern Ireland, whereas, obviously they're the same nation that they are at the Olympic Games. So they're going to be stronger. But they're a force to be reckoned with within the world of swimming. And their medal haul was pretty incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is what we were saying earlier, wasn't it? If we put all of the home nations back together, then it's a very different
It looks a little bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah, massively.
I mean, you mention it there then. I mean, you're in these Commonwealth Games, you're competing against rivals from Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. And what is that like when essentially most of the time they're your teammates, but at these games, they're not?
Yeah, they are your teammates, but once you're in a competition, and I'm sure same, Greg, you'll be able to relate. But when you go to these meets, they're your teammates, but they are trying to take your medals away from you. That's how I see it. When I stand on the 8 lanes, you got 7 guys next to you who are trying to get what you want as well. So whether you're from the same country or whether you're not, they're still trying to take stuff from you. But the only time I really do feel it is in the relays. So take the 4x200 meters, for example. We've won the Olympic Games in Paris and in Tokyo on the 4x200 and, the gold medal in both. So we've beaten Australia. But when we are broken down into our constituent home nations, we got the silver for England. That was the silver medal that I got because only 2 of us are English, the other chaps Welsh and the other chaps Scottish, Duncan and Matt. So it's much tougher, and you do really feel the breakdown of the home nations in the relays. And it's weird when I'm stepping on the blocks for a 4x200 meters and Duncan and Matt are in other lanes. They're not stood behind me as part of Team Great Britain. So individuals, it's pretty much the same, but relays, completely different.
When we are talking about the importance of the comms, obviously, I think you mentioned it just a bit before, that obviously people are thinking about other things. You guys have got the Europeans coming up as well, and athletics is exactly the same. And you were very right, you said. I mean, my opinion, I think the athletes should do both because you're a very long time retired and you end up looking back and missing the fact that you didn't go to these championships. But do you think as well, I mean, you tell me if I'm completely off the market, but is training going to be slightly different? Because if you're thinking, do you know what, the Europeans is where I really want to go out there and win. Are we sort of thinking that maybe the swimmers are in a slightly heavier field or sort of approaching it differently in order to maximise the potential in the Euros?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think it depends on a few things. Firstly, Aquatics GB have no involvement in Commonwealth Games. So when it's Team GB, Aquatics GB, Europeans is essentially the only thing they look at this year. So the members of staff, the team that work for Aquatics GB, they'll be saying Europeans. Whereas Swim England and Team England, obviously it's Commonwealth Games, this is their chance to get this once every 4 years. They're saying, right, this has got to be the focus, this has got to be the focus. But then actually individually, it really varies person to person. So for some people, they're like, Commonwealth Games, it's a smaller meet, it's kind of maybe a bit more of a friendly games. Europeans, there's a higher level of competition, you could argue. They might have a mindset more similar to some of the athletics athletes, you could argue. Whereas other people from especially the home nations that maybe won't get on the team for Team GB at the Olympics or the Worlds or the Europeans, to represent their nation at Commonwealth Games is the most important thing for them. And also there's a lot of pride. And a lot of Welsh athletes, who walk out with extreme pride for representing Wales. Scots, who walk out in their kilts, and that's a massive thing for them once every 4 years. And myself, as a proud Englishman, to be able to walk out, have the English flag on my chest. Unfortunately, we didn't get to hear Jerusalem getting played as much as I'd hoped to, but to be able to hear that as the anthem, it's super important for me. So I think everyone, if you ask them, they'd have a different answer. To be honest with you, different people, different sports. But for me, I think this season, I'd have to put my hands up and say the Commonwealth Games was by far the most important thing for me because of how special it is, because of how rare it is. I've competed, I've been fortunate enough to compete in a lot of Europeans over my career, but, not only one other Commonwealth Games. And Greg, I think you're absolutely right. Athletes should feel pride to it, and they should feel obliged to go out, and when they get the call up to represent their country, they answer that call, and they're really excited and proud to do it. And you see it in other sports as well. Sometimes you see it in some footballers as well who get the England call up and they don't answer that call. And for me, I don't see the logic in that at all.
If we're looking at your career as well, on another level, like Chad Leclerc's come out there and now set a record with 21 Commonwealth medals. Now, I look at you and I think, look, you're 26. You've got at least 2 more Commonwealth Games in you. If you had a Commonwealth Games like obviously how it was 4 years ago, you would eclipse that. Is that is that something ever you would think about, or is it there? Have you ever thought about that?
It's a good question. I think you'd have to maybe ask my girlfriend, my family, how they feel about 8 more years of swimming training and training camps. It's a big ask. We work in these 4-year quads, don't we? As Olympians, we do work in these quads. But how different, was London to Rio, for me, Tokyo to Paris, or you're at a completely different point in your life and your career. And I've seen people go through a full cycle where they go, I don't ever want to see a pool again. I'm done. Look at Steve Redgrave. If you ever see me near a boat again, shoot me, and then 4 years later. And I think, but it's what you said, because the prospect of, I think as people get into later on in their career, they think, God, actually, how fortunate am I to represent my country, to go to these competitions, because you have a long life after you. When you call it a day, you hang your goals up at 32 or whatever it might be. You've got decades ahead of you where you're not going to be able to be an Olympic or Commonwealth athlete again. So to seize these opportunities is what you've got to do. I can't say for certain that I'll be stepping up and gunning for 7 medals in 4 years' time. Who knows? It'd be an incredible honour to do it 100%. And, India, I'm sure they're going to put on a fantastic show. They've got some incredible, massive stadia, haven't they, over there? It'll be a real great show. But my main focus now is 2 years from now, Los Angeles 2028, go in there and, you said 3 Olympic gold medals at the top of this, and trying to add some more to that would be special.
Oh, I love it. Oh,
I know.
brilliant.
That's what we want to hear.
Gets me going again. I wish my body was a bit younger. That's it. Got me all fired up, mate.
Oh, look, Tom, we so appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. I take it you're going to the Europeans?
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I've had a day off today, which has been nice. I was training Thursday afternoon, with last race Wednesday night, training Thursday afternoon, day off today, and we leave on Friday. So straight back in.
You swimmers are mad. Honestly, you push yourselves more than most other sports. Good on you.
But we wish you the best of luck for the Europeans and appreciate you taking time to speak to us. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much.
Tom Dean, triple Olympic gold medalist, joining us there. We wish him the best of luck for the Europeans, which only starts in about 8 days' time, something like that. So something to tune into, certainly. Or the athletics, because the Europeans in the athletics also gets underway soon too. But let's take you back to the velodrome to check in with what's happening. I can't believe this race that is... Oh, sorry, not to the velodrome. I do beg your pardon. Let's go to Georgie Heath for a latest update on what else has been going on this final day of the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, it's all over in the judo now. The final medal was won by Cyprus's Giannis Antonio, and he won it in the men's plus 100 kilogram final. So success for the home nations in the judo today. In the women's under 78 kilogram, it was Shelley Ludford lost out in the bronze, but in the under 78 final, it was Emma Reid who defended her title to come away with gold. And then in the men's under 100 kilograms, silver went to England's Max Gregory. And that will be the end of the judo for now. We'll be back again in 4 years' time for Commonwealth judo action.
Georgie, thank you very much. So we were talking about the velodrome, and we will get to the closing stages of this 40-kilometre points race. They've got 88 laps to go.
I was going to say, you laugh, but there are 88 laps left.
So it will take a little while to get to that, but it's incredible that they are just going round and round and round, as you do.
Battling it out, though. You can sort of
I know, it's brilliant.
The points that are up there already. Obviously, every 10 laps is a sprint. And there is the sprints. And, I don't know, it's all over the place, isn't it?
Well, it's just long. Should we put it that way?
Yeah.
Very long.
Let's get Georgia back on here too.
And Georgia will clarify it all for us. But what we can tell you, there's no Derny, because it's not the Kieran. That's as good as what we know from that particular race anyway. You're listening into the Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to Dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
it's an amazing story, actually. It's almost a forgotten man. This is about Mykhailo Mudryk, who has been allowed to come back to football immediately for Chelsea. So you'll remember that this is a man who had a 4-year ban handed down to him for breaching anti-doping rules. He's not played since November 2024 after what was described as an adverse finding of meldonium, which is a banned substance in his system. He appealed against that sentence to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, who have today said that because he accepted breaking anti-doping rules, they have agreed that the time served already is enough of a punishment. So Mykhailo Mudryk is available to play for Chelsea with immediate effect.
Can he even still play football? Is he good enough? He's not played football for 3 years.
Nearly 2 years. Well, Chelsea have released quite a long statement today, obviously welcoming the decision. They've talked about what a difficult period of time it has been for Mykhailo Mudryk. And I think this is the important paragraph here in the statement. We welcome the acknowledgement that advances in the applicable scientific reporting standards for more reliable testing mean that had Misha's sample been analysed under today's technical requirements, it would not have been reported as a positive test and no anti-doping rule violation would have resulted. That is an important part of the context surrounding the agreed resolution and allows everyone involved to move forward.
And not long left of these Commonwealth Games. It's all about the velodrome and what's happening in this 40-kilometre points race. We'll come to that a little bit later on because it has been a real success in Glasgow, who came in to host this tournament, 18 months ago? Something like that. Quite incredible that they've been able to put on such an event. The CEO, Phil Batty's been speaking with Michael Waydock in the last few moments.
Phil, has Glasgow 2026 been the success that you hoped it might be?
The Glasgow Games will be a Games to go down in memory as just one of the most fabulous celebrations of the Commonwealth here in one place at one time. It's exceeded all our expectations. The magic that we've felt in our venues, the sense of community with the whole Commonwealth here in Scotland, but also just the sport on the field of play. There's been some electric moments that I think will go down in history forevermore.
What have you enjoyed seeing?
What I've loved about this edition of the Games, I think, is seeing a different way of hosting athletes in a city. You know, you've been able to walk through the fabric of Glasgow and see teams of all nations just exploring everything Glasgow's got to offer, running out down the banks of the Clyde, having the opportunity to warm up outside the Hydro in the morning, or just going and discovering the amazing culture that this city has. I think that's brought athletes closer to spectators and closer to the public, and that's made the Games feel even more real than they did before. And that's really important because the Commonwealth is about gathering together to celebrate sport.
And in terms of your success measures, whether that's about bums on seats, whether that's about people listening on the radio, how do you rate that?
I'm really proud of what we've achieved in the venues. There has been an electricity in each of our venues with some incredible full venues across the footprint of the competition. We've had over 430,000 ticket sales across the Games. What I would say, though, is what's really struck me is how people have come out to celebrate the Games, you know, whether that's going to the live site to experience the sport for free, whether that's the opportunity to high-five a volunteer on the way to work in the morning, or whether it's just following on social media, radio or television and seeing those amazing moments the next morning after the athletics the night before. So it definitely has been a standout Games from that perspective.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely right with some of the takeaways from these Games about how you can put it on in a scaled down way if needed.
Yeah.
We don't want to see that, obviously, because we want to see all the sports back in the schedule as such. But, you know, what would your takeaway be from these Glasgow Games, do you think?
I think the big thing, what you've just touched on there, is the fact that you don't have to spend as much time nor money to host what is an incredibly successful Games and get the brilliant stories out, fantastic performances as well. Now, I mean, since London, there's been a lot of push to make things more sustainable for all these major championships. So things like the hockey stadium that was in London then was shipped to Rio in order to sort of lower costs and things like that. And I think that's another thing that really can be done across the world when these big nations take on something like the Commonwealth Games or the Olympics, use the stadium that's already in place, use some of the infrastructure so it doesn't cost quite as much, and actually maybe shorten the amount of time. I know it sounds crazy, but if you actually do give these nations a little less time, maybe they won't overthink it, they won't overspend on certain things, they'll get what they need done on time, ready for an amazing show. Because you say, if you can do this in 18 months, and yes, of course, we are missing a few of the sports, give somebody 3 years, which is still less than what they obviously already get, then we're going to get what we need and we're going to get a brilliant show. And I think that's probably the way to go to make it more sustainable.
So that's the general terms of obviously organising a Commonwealth Games. But I wonder what it's like to organise a team, just one team perhaps. Pleased to say joining us live from Glasgow is the chef de mission for Team Wales, Gethin Jones. Good afternoon. How are you?
Pnawn da. Hello, both.
Hello, mate.
I tell you what a view you've got from here. I should have made friends with you earlier in the week. This is incredible viewpoint of the cycling. It's the 40k points race is it's only halfway, still about 157 miles to go. It's an incredible feat, and we've got Will here, Will Perrott, who's just become a new dad, going really, really well. So if I scream at any point, you'll know why.
Yeah, you're right. He's currently in the second position as things stand. Gethin, you've done many things in your working life. How tough has this job been, or has it just been one of joy and pleasure?
I think that's about it, to be honest with you now. If I start telling you, then the race will be finished by the time I finish. I think the one word I've been trying to describe it as, it's a Welsh word, adbennig, special. I think Greg will tell you, over the last sort of 18 months, 2 years, I've invested so much time and effort into getting to know the athletes and their journey, following them on social media, all the highs, lows, the disappointments, the setbacks. So when you watch any of these 10 sports, any one of the 113 athletes we've had here at Team Wales in Glasgow, you feel every punch. You miss the fingernail in the pool. You see the half a centimetre difference on the jack in the bowls. And it's I'm sure, Greg, you know this better than I do. The success is amazing, but you also have to be there for the disappointment, because the insight for me this week is that, that disappointment can linger and feel much worse than the highs of the success. But I'm delighted with how the week's gone. My focus is all about the personal touches, the culture, the team spirit, and then you provide the athletes the best opportunity to succeed. And my goodness, have they delivered this week?
They absolutely have, haven't they? And again, you making Livy Breen the captain as well. Tell us about that process. And of course, she's made everybody so incredibly proud across all of the home nations, but for what she's done for Wales as well, what a brilliant thing.
Remarkable woman, and the thing is, she's she got 2 gold, silver, bronze now, with the silver and gold she got this week. I was there for the long jump. I got so excited at one point, I think I was in the sands cheering and got escorted out.
Wouldn't be the first time, mate.
I think I've done that with you, to be fair as well. But I think not just only how great she is and what a talented athlete she is, she's such a good ambassador for Wales, and she's been learning the anthem in the lead up to the games. She wanted to be as much as she could. We went out and watched a few sports in between her 2 events. She's here right now, actually, supporting the athletes. It's great to see her get involved, and the message she sends and the inspiration she is to the next generation is quite something. And we've become mates over the last few months, and I was asked to give her gold medal at the athletics.
I saw that, yeah.
I was reluctant to do so, yeah. I actually didn't want to do it. The balance for me has been about, always putting athletes first, and I thought, this is her moment. But then I found out that she actually wanted me to do it. Oh my goodness, what a feeling! Like for a normal guy, for those, what it's like, Greg, but for the normal person to stand nearby and see that flag being raised and singing the anthem. She was singing the anthem, I was crying the anthem. It was one of those special feelings. I can't even imagine what it's like for the top few percent that get to experience that gold medal, top podium, flag going above everyone else. So pretty amazing to share that with her. A lifetime memory, no doubt.
When I mentioned, obviously, your role, the chef de mission, there'll be a lot of people listening in right now going, what on earth is that? What does it mean, and how did this come about for you?
When we announced that on the show on Morning Live that me and Greg do day to day, John Gregory Smith, the chef, looked really annoyed. It's like, I thought I was making the carbonara today. I think outside of the sporting world and the military world, the chef de mission is like, you what?
Yeah.
It's the leader of the team, but over the last 4 years, with the change of the games and how the Commonwealth Games has changed, it's a reimagined games, and I think Team Wales looked at the chef as looking in a different way. I've become an ambassador and a spokesperson for the team, and I'm very proud to do that. I'm a very proud Welshman, and I love my sport. And this week, it's sort of finding my feet. I think what's been key is the communication between the team, behind the team, as you know, Greg, is so important, and the athletes themselves, and communicating everything all the time, because things change so much day to day. The little things you don't even see, like how are the boxers going to get their way in? Can they go through the hotel rather than around? Those little things matter. Right, yeah. So just communicating that to the team and getting to know them has been massive. I just saw Jess Roberts now, she's won a silver medal, and I'm like, oh my God, she's the smiliest person in the world. She goes, I feel like I'm your friend. I said, I know, I feel like I'm your friend. And it was just all very emotional, and yeah. So Chef de Mission may be reimagined for Wales this year, but I hope, and I like to think that it's worked pretty well for all of us.
And it's also, I mean, you're talking about you're the leader, obviously, out there. You also met the future leader of this country in the way of the Prince of Wales, and I had a bit of fun with the family as well. And I believe I saw an article saying that you asked a question, and then Prince William himself had to step in just to neutralise what was going on.
No, yeah, it was. They're so lovely, and the whole family loves this sport. But the last time I was sort of near William I was doing the Greg James tandem bike ride. Yeah. So William was on it, and then I was on it. So I sort of said to him, look, I've got you a bag of goodies here. There's some lycra in there, and we've booked you and Kate into the velodrome at 8 o'clock to have a go. And he thought it was funny because he was talking about the PR. We're like, what? And anyway, so I turned to George. I said to George, do you want to see Mummy and Daddy dressed in lycra in the velodrome tonight? He just went, no. Who would want to see their mum and dad doing that?
That would be brilliant.
They're great sports, and they were lovely with the athletes, spent a lot of time with them, and yeah, it was good to see them. And actually, it was so amazing at the time because so much cycling happening. Anna and Jess won a gold and silver, and then Emma won her third gold, which is when I said to Charlotte, would you like to go and put the gold on the medal table, and she jumped at the chance. So I just told Emma that now, actually. There was Charlotte that added the gold medal to the tally.
Oh, that's a nice thing for her to do, actually. When you mention, obviously, the gold medal for Emma Finucane, she won 3, she's won 4 now. She's become the most successful Welsh athlete at the Commonwealth Games. Just tell us how proud you are of her and her incredible achievements.
I don't think anyone's won 4 golds at a Commonwealth Games in any country. I could be wrong, but I think that's right. Greg, what's it like winning 4? I don't even know how to.
I don't know.
How special is that?
No, I've no chance of winning.
We don't even know how to win 1. So.
I think Greg's all right. He's got a good collection.
That's right.
What can I say about her? You watch her and you know she's special. You watch her, whether you know you're cycling or not, and know she's a bit different, and she's definitely coming here with form. Apparently her coach Rachel was telling me that she was super nervous before this race today, maybe knowing that history's there, but she has so much heart, so much bravery. She's an absolute professional. She's so unassuming, and so today, obviously, the closing ceremony tonight, the team decided that she should be our flag bearer. She should lead the team tonight. So I've just gone down after that 4th race to ask her to do that, and she was so lovely, so unassuming. She's like, well, you want me to do it? I'm like, I didn't think you'd ever ask me. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? But again, it comes back to that live thing. Amazing success, but such an ambassador for a country.
Yeah.
And if Commonwealth Games are going to succeed in the future, I know you've been talking about it this week on your show. If they are going to succeed in the future, you need the stars. Like her star is Becky James. Like she still talks about Becky, the Joannas, the Victoria Pendletons, the Chris Hoys. You know, you need those stars, and I have no doubt that Emma has absolutely influenced a new generation of sports, cyclists, Welsh sports in the future.
Now, we talk about, obviously, the longevity of the Commonwealth Games and carrying on. Could we see a time when Wales bids to host again? Because I know, obviously, they said that they wouldn't when, obviously, Victoria pulled out. But could we see that coming up, a Cardiff Commonwealth Games?
Cardiff 1958, John Bradbury, I think, was the first to win a medal in what they called the 100-yard dash back in the day. Wouldn't we love to see it come back? Hang on, it's all kicking off here. There's another break. I feel like I'm doing some commentary for you now.
Please,
Oh, there you go. You've got Elliot Rose, Scotsman, has just gone to the front, so the whole place has gone absolutely mad. Glasgow have been loving the sport, and actually that's good timing, isn't it? Glasgow have loved it. We're so grateful that they've put the games on 2 years ago. We didn't think we'd have one. We thought Australia, then nothing, and then here we are in Glasgow. Of course we would. But obviously, as you know, Greg, everything costs money, and you need support and sponsors. So yeah, I mean, how fantastic would it be? And like I said, we've got to keep trying to create the next stars and get investment into all our sports, because you know there's been a lot of talk about medals, and I've never talked about medals because I feel like if you can provide these athletes with a platform to succeed, they'll do their best. But they've broken all kinds of Welsh records, season's best, personal best. Shout out to the coaches for that, despite all the challenges they have day to day. So very, very proud of them.
Well, listen, Gethin, thank you very much for joining us and running us through everything. It has been a brilliant games for Wales, and enjoy the party tonight. I'm sure there's going to be huge celebrations, so thank you, Gethin.
Party? Is a party tonight?
It must be somewhere. Must be somewhere. I'm sure you can find one.
Yeah, Geff will definitely find the party, absolutely.
I'll let you know. I'm in bed by 9.
That is true.
Cheers, guys.
Gethin
Thanks,
Jones,
mate.
the
See you
chef's
later.
mission for Team Wales there, joining us live in Glasgow. Let's also now just check out who our reporter Michael Waydock in Glasgow has found and who he's spoken to ahead of the closing ceremony.
Thanks very much, guys, and welcome back to Glasgow. I'm actually stood outside the Hydro, where very shortly we're going to have the closing ceremony of Glasgow 2026, joined by a very, very special guest. She is track and field's most decorated Scottish athlete of all time. You might remember her running on the track as Ailey Child. She's now Ailey Doyle, and she's with me now. Ailey, it's been a great games for Glasgow. What's it been like being back here? We remember you, of course, competing back in 2014 when it was in Glasgow last.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing to be back. You know, I didn't think I would be back in Glasgow, you know, for Commonwealth Games so soon, but it's been great to sort of be involved from a different side, you know, watching on the sidelines. But yeah, what a fantastic games it's been.
And one of your roles has been working here with the volunteers, and events like this just wouldn't happen, would they, without the volunteers that come along and work for free and work incredibly long hours?
Yeah, so I've been an ambassador for Allwyn at these games as well, and you know they've put so much into the training of the volunteers and setting them up right so they can go out there and deliver those roles, because there is so many roles out there. So you know it's important that the skill sets that these volunteers have are appropriate for the roles that are going on. So it's just been amazing seeing all the hard work that's gone into, you know, getting these volunteers ready to go out there, but then actually seeing the volunteers in action round about all these different venues. You know, there's so many different roles that they do, and you know you can spot them with their nice bright purple t-shirts on, and it's just so important because without them, you know, these games just wouldn't happen. And you know, people say, you know, no Scotland, no party. No legend volunteers, then no games. It wouldn't be happening.
So let's turn our attention to the action. You've been at the track, been at Scotstoun every night. First of all, as a venue, I mean, a bit smaller than the Commonwealth Games has been used to, but it rocked, didn't it?
It definitely did, you know, especially last night with Josh Kerr's mile performance, you know, but I think sometimes that, you know, the smaller venue, yes, it is smaller, but actually when you fill it and you get that atmosphere and you get the athletes performing, then, you know, the atmosphere takes care of itself.
Oh, lovely chat there with Ailey Doyle there and Michael Waydock as well. And of course, she'll have been soaking up the Scotland and Glasgow atmosphere. And look, what we've got about half an hour or so, just less than.
Don't say that.
I know, the bubble is going to burst soon, I'm afraid. But no, there's still 17 laps to go in this final race of these Commonwealth Games, that in the velodrome. So we'll check in on that in just a few minutes as we continue to bring you the very latest from Glasgow and these Commonwealth Games.
Liverpool are set to place an opening bid for Bradley Barcola, but what PSG want and what Liverpool are willing to offer at the moment seems quite far away.
Yeah, there's a goal for valuation, but that's normal. PSG's starting position is £145 million. And my information is that in terms of the fixed fee, Liverpool are looking at roughly 80 million, maybe some add-ons on top. But that's the starting point. And knowing this is going to be a difficult negotiation because of PSG's starting position and the fact that they haven't signed Yan Diomande, Liverpool might need to be patient. And my expectation is it might run a similar course to Alexander Isak. And by that, I don't mean the player will agitate and go on strike. But what I do mean is with Alexander Isak, Liverpool placed what they thought was a fair offer early. When it was rejected, they waited until right towards the end of the window and the deal got done in the final hours. And you may note that Newcastle went from not for sale to 125 million, and somewhere in the middle, they were asking for 150 million about 3 weeks before the deal got done. So PSG's starting position, 145, very normal in deals for that to come down by 20 to 25 million. If Liverpool are prepared to go up by 10 or 15 million, suddenly the parties are not that far apart. So the first bid likely testing the water, and then we'll understand.
Yes, and the final race, the final event of these 2026 Commonwealth Games is coming to an end. There's still a few laps still to go in this 40-kilometre points race, but why not check in right now with Joe Shannon.
Yes, 9 laps remaining here at the Velodrome, and the crowd are enthralled by what they're seeing at 41.5 minutes into this remarkable 40k points race final. And Matthew Bostock of the Isle of Man is currently in the gold medal position with 81 points, though Oliver Bledin of Australia is just behind him, 5 points away, with Mark Stewart of Scotland in the bronze medal position at the moment, 55 points. Just to run through the way this has all worked, 40k of course, and every 10 laps there is a sprint, with individual riders being awarded points for completing the sprint in 1st to 4th place. Also, any rider who laps the field is awarded 20 points. Any rider who is lapped loses 20 points. So there is plenty at play here going into the final 5 laps as the noise in the crowd starts to rise. But it really could be an historic gold medal here for the Isle of Man and Matthew Bostock, who leads the way still on 81 points. Oliver Bledin in the bright yellow and green of Australia is behind him on 76 points, so 5 points off that gold medal position. And Mark Stewart of Scotland currently in the bronze medal position with 55 points, but it could change going into the final 3 laps here at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome. These are the closing stages of the Commonwealth Games Glasgow 2026, live on talkSPORT. 2 laps now remaining. And what a feat it would be for Matthew Bostock of the Isle of Man. He really wants to make sure that he's in that top 4 going into the final sprint. And now as the bell rings, they're into the final lap. Remember, Bostock has the lead and in the gold medal position. Bledin of Australia behind him. Stewart of Scotland in the bronze medal position. Stewart is contending here at the very end. So too is Bostock. So too is Bledin as the final lap is completed. A remarkable end to this race, and any points that are yet to be added will be confirmed momentarily. But I am expecting that Matthew Bostock has won gold, and indeed it looks like he has. 83 points for Matthew Bostock of the Isle of Man. That is an historic gold medal. What a way to finish these Commonwealth Games. Matthew Bostock cannot believe it, but the flag of the Isle of Man is unfurled by the track cycling coaching team, and Matthew Bostock, he shouts, "Come on!" He punches the air with delight. He is the winner of the men's 40-kilometre points race final, and that is a gold medal that will go down in sporting history for everybody in the Isle of Man. Oliver Bledin edged out into 2nd place for Australia. He will take the silver, and right at the last there, George Jackson of New Zealand pipping Mark Stewart, I think, to the bronze medal position, right in the very final sprint. And that tells you everything about how important this race is in terms of fighting right until the finish. Jackson for New Zealand takes the bronze, Bledin of Australia the silver, but all the plaudits and all the applause for Matthew Bostock of the Isle of Man, and historic gold medal in the men's 40-kilometre points race final to round off an extraordinary Commonwealth Games.
Joe, Shannon, thank you very much. And what a way to end proceedings at these Commonwealth Games. And that is the real beauty of them as well, when you're putting places like the Isle of Man on the map. To become a Commonwealth champion, as Matthew Bostock has now just achieved. That is simply the best stories that you can take out of these Commonwealth Games. Like I say, I mean, we had it in the pool with Philip Nowacki of Jersey, who won multiple medals. Actually, he's just an 18-year-old and won multiple medals at these Commonwealth Games. And I think that's something we might have to get into in a little more depth, because this is, as I say, the beauty that some nations who wouldn't, on Olympic level anyway, be recognised, are getting the recognition at these Commonwealth Games. But someone who you've heard plenty of at these Commonwealth Games is joining us now live, and that is our very own Michael Wadop. Michael, how are you? How have you enjoyed these games?
Yeah, well, I've been enjoying these games for the reasons you just mentioned. I went to see the bowls earlier, and Guernsey's only medalist at these games, Ali Merian, won silver in the women's singles. This is her 5th appearance at the Commonwealth Games, and she finally gets her hands on that silver medal today. So you're exactly right. In the same event, the Norfolk Islands, for example, won the bronze, with England winning the gold. Wow. So it's exactly those reasons. 74 nations and territories. I've been at an event today where all the hierarchy, the CEO and the president of Commonwealth Sport have been talking, and they've been explaining exactly that is the model for these games. That's the relevance for these games. And you know, whilst Australia have dominated, we've had 42 different nations and territories out of the 74 on the medal table here, and that will be something that Glasgow 2026 and Commonwealth Sport will be particularly delighted with.
As somebody obviously that's covered multiple sporting events, Michael, what's your view on the importance of something like the Commonwealth Games?
I think it's hugely important. I think for the Australians, let's start with them, they are treating this very much as a dry run as they start building towards Brisbane and 2032. They've been getting huge audience figures. I understand nearly 11 million people have been watching this every night on Channel 7 in Australia. They've sent their A-listers here. Now, the challenge is, how do we get the host nation and the home nations involved in such a way? We know that there are athletes, big-name athletes like Keely Hodgkinson, like Dean Rasher-Smith, who are not here. But because these games were kind of squeezed in at the last minute in terms of the sporting calendar, it's had to find its place. And I think in some sports, like your sport, Greg, track and field, it's been very difficult. But for sports like netball, for sports like bowls, and bowls has come indoors here, I think we saw pretty much a top-rated swim meet as well. I think the Commonwealth Games have real importance. And, you know, when you speak to athletes, and I was just listening to Gethin there, you speak to athletes like, you know, Emma Finucane, representing Wales. I was with her at a school in Manchester on Olympic Day, and she was handing her Olympic medals around. In fact, we lost them for a while. You know, but the pride that she talks about when she talks about representing Wales, I mean, have that conversation with Emma, and you wouldn't doubt why these games should find their place in the calendar moving forward.
Yeah, I can well imagine that, and maybe likewise with yourself, to represent England. It doesn't come around very often, because obviously at the bigger tournaments, the bigger competitions, it will be Great Britain and Northern Ireland, of course. But just to ask you then, Michael, we know that this was a sort of scaled down event because they only had 18 months to prepare for it. This, I think, is your 5th Commonwealth Games. So you must have started when you were very young, Michael. Tell us then, in terms of how they put this together, how you feel it has gone, and how different it might have felt to previous Commonwealth Games as well.
Yeah, well, I've worked the last 4 for talkSPORT, so starting with Glasgow 2014, but I went as a spectator to Manchester in 2002, where all I really remember is it rained a lot, and we had, I think it was S Club 7 at the closing ceremony, and Ashley, the squeaky-voiced butcher from Coronation Street. So I'm hoping that Glasgow with Simple Minds tonight have got something a little bit better lined up for us. But the serious point is, yes, Glasgow stepped in. I remember having conversations with Ian Reid, a man called Ian Reid. He was one of the key personnel with Glasgow 2014. He was the chief executive at Birmingham 2022, and then he became chair of Commonwealth Games Scotland. And I remember having some very early conversations with him in the days after Victoria pulled out, and we were just having a chat through what were some of the potential solutions to keep the games going. And it became very clear very quickly that the legacy of Glasgow 2014, the fact that the venues were here and all built, offered a potential solution. And Commonwealth Games Scotland moved very quickly then to present that to Commonwealth Sport and say, look, this is not going to be the games of Birmingham that cost £750 million. It's not going to be the games of Gold Coast, and Australia explored other options after Victoria pulled out, including Gold Coast stepping up and hosting again, but decided it wasn't for them. So I think Commonwealth Games Scotland, Ian Reid, Phil Batty, who's the chief executive here, and the team that put these games on in such a limited time frame, I think they should really be congratulated with what they've been able to deliver. They've been describing this afternoon as the ladder to the next generation of the Commonwealth Games. As I've said before, I think Birmingham was probably the high water mark. We're going to go up again in a number of sports for India. We're going to have about 15 sports. I'm excited for that one, hearing some of the plans today. They've been talking about what they're planning for the Games, but I just don't think the Games can go back to where it was 4 years ago.
Michael, we're going to keep you there, if that's all right, because we want to talk about your memorable moments from these games in just a few minutes as we, get closer to saying cheerio to Glasgow 2026. You've been listening to the Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
You noticed that on social media, Curtis Jones liked the posts where Inter Milan announced Stones as a player.
He's acting like a spoiled brat. I saw his behaviour last night on the pitch.
This was after the friendly.
Yeah, I understand the frustration that you should have got the armband. He's been, he's a scouser. He's been there 20 years. Blah 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 blah. But to act like that and for it to carry on, because it went on for about 2 minutes.
Was it him and Dominic Szoboszlai?
Yeah, he was having a go at Szoboszlai, who handed the armband over, I think, to Tsimikas. Mm-hmm. And I believe Curtis Jones had the temper tantrum over that. It's just like that behaviour can't happen. Not from a graduate from the academy. He's too into himself. So if he wants to go,
source of his frustration not so much the captain's armband in a pre-season friendly, it's the fact he wants to leave, is it?
Yeah, okay, so he wants to leave. Well, okay, now Liverpool have to get the best deal for the football club. That's how it works, okay? You don't get to throw your toys out of the pram and do it slowly, knowing him, and then act like that. I just don't understand it. You're playing for one of the biggest football clubs in the world. You came through the system. Behave. Stop. That's all eyes are on you. That's not behind closed doors. That might go on in training and all those things, but you don't want to see that going on actually for millions of people to watch.
It's not great for Andoni Iraola, fresh in the manager's.
No, and I'm sure he'll move past.
Scotstoun, but it's Georgia Hunter-Bell. No one's going to beat her. No one's going to get past her. Lillian Adira's not going to get there. Georgia Hunter-Bell is the Commonwealth Games champion.
The first outdoor medal that's gold for me is huge.
Jazz Sawyer's long jump Commonwealth champion.
Oh my God, that sounds really good. That sounds really good.
And it is a Games record from Duncan Scott. What a swim, and what a popular winner this is going to be.
And Finucane is coming through to win another dominant gold medal, this time for Wales.
And it's Novaki that takes the silver. Ramsey Peaty will have to settle for the bronze.
Sport is sport, and you never know what's over the mountain. It could be
your biggest dream or it could be your worst dream.
And we are going to crown Queen Kate O'Connor of Northern Ireland. She crosses the line. Not only is she our Commonwealth Games heptathlon champion, but she has won this race as well.
Evans maybe just has the edge. This is very, very tight indeed. Angharad Evans of Scotland takes the gold.
Surely no one could beat Josh Kerr here. Josh Kerr's pulling away from the field. The man who said he was going to break the world record, the man who said he was going to win gold in Glasgow, has done exactly that. Twin ambitions realised.
Crikey, how do you pick a favourite moment? That was just some of the best bits, but we've had some incredible highs at these 2026 Commonwealth Games. Our very own Michael Waddock is still with us, and he was part of our commentary team for the athletics. And, oh, God, it was the last few days at Scotstoun have been absolutely marvellous. So, Michael, I'll come to you really first. What moment stood out for you?
Well, I think it's very hard, isn't it, to go anywhere else but Josh Kerr last night in the mile. But I would also say, watching someone like Elise Thorner in the steeplechase winning a silver. Do you remember Megan Keith in the, I think, 5,000 metres for Scotland as well? She came from, we thought, nowhere to win that, what was a surprise medal. And those moments, absolutely fantastic. For Jasmine Sawyers last night as well, having, we discussed it, didn't we, last night, but just having come back from that injury and the fact that she was back here in Glasgow where she kind of started her career as well. These were all fantastic as far as the track was concerned. But it has to be Josh Kerr for me. Just the fact that he prioritised this Commonwealth Games. The fact that he said Glasgow 2026 was on the calendar for him this year. Yes, he was going to break that world record in London, and then he was going to come here. Didn't go to UK trials, didn't try and attempt to qualify for the European Championships. He prioritised this event. He prioritised coming back to Scotstoun, coming back to Scotland, coming back to Glasgow. And the fact that he just did it in such super style last night was just absolutely amazing. Privileged to have been there.
Yeah, I can imagine. There's nothing better than being at those live events. But if you can't be there, you want to be doing what we've been doing,
absolutely,
Greg, which is obviously bringing it to our talkSPORT listeners throughout our network. Go on, Michael.
And you two have done an amazing job, by the way. It's been a pleasure to be listening.
I wasn't queuing you up for that. I promise you I wasn't. But Greg,
no, it needs saying. It needs saying. Well done.
Stop. It's not about us. It's certainly about the athletes. And Greg, your highlight?
Well, I would just want to sort of throw that back at Michael as well. I think from our point of view, sitting here, having all of the action be brought to life with that level of passion and knowledge, I think has been brilliant. We've been sitting here, haven't we? Just like when it's been throwing, just going, oh, this is fantastic, getting really into it. So again, to yourself, mate, it's been incredible. So thank you so much for that. For me, it's really difficult because this is what my third championships where I've been covering multiple sports now since retiring. Originally, when I first retired, it was only athletics. And I think a big part of that is still going to sort of sway part of what I think. And I think from an athletics point of view, I guess maybe it's slightly obvious, but I'm going to go down the Jasmine Sawyers route purely because of the injury. And I look at someone like Jazz coming back from that, and then it makes me think, oh, maybe I should have had that extra surgery and tried to come back myself. And maybe I could have held on a little bit longer and kept going. But knowing an injury that generally would have ended people's careers.
This was an Achilles
for many
rupture.
Years, a full Achilles rupture. To then come back from that and then go out to win a Commonwealth Games, but not just win it with sort of a terrible distance or anything like that. I'm trying to put it in the right words. She did it with fantastic jumping, good distances. But then on top of that, there's just been so many things that I've been looking through the notepad that I've been having every day, and I've circled certain things as we go through. And there's just it's endless. From the swimmers going across Australia and the home nations to the bowls, I think was incredible as well. On the fifth time of asking, we pick up our gold medal there as well. It's so many different things, and literally, this I'm gonna keep quite special to one side as well. It's just got bits written down on there. I think for me, again, just being across all the different sports is such a great thing to learn and to develop and just reappreciate. I love the fact that I get to be a sports fan again now. I get to watch it, I get to take it on board and really enjoy it. So it's countless performances, countless athletes, but I've loved every minute of it. But then equally for yourself, because again, I know that some of these sports that it's something that you haven't had as much exposure to over the years.
No, not at all. But it's been an absolute joy. I was very lucky to be part of our Paris coverage for the Olympics, which in a way reignited my love for so much of these sports, the athletics, obviously, and the swimming as well. And from the swimming, I'll take away Philip Nowacki as a story, the 18-year-old Jersey breaststroke swimmer who won gold in the 200 metres, silver in the 100 metres, where he picked Adam Ramsey-Peaty to that silver. Adam Ramsey-Peaty finishing in the bronze medal. And let's not forget, Ramsey-Peaty is his mentor. Yeah. So that in itself was an incredible story too. I think there'll be loads of takeaways from what has been an absolute incredible Commonwealth Games. It's been an absolute pleasure for us to be a part of our coverage. And I will extend exactly what you said to Michael, who was brilliant in bringing the passion from Scotstoun. We've also had Joe Shannon and Alfie Reynolds bringing us all the comms as well. John Cushing, Georgia Holt at the Velodrome, Georgie Heath as well. We've had so many people involved in this. And let's not forget Will, our producer as well, who's just been helping to put it all together. We hope you've enjoyed it. It's been an absolute blast working with you as well.
I've loved it.
This is the sad part. Nobody wants this.
I'm not leaving.
We're not leaving. We're not leaving.
We're going to be back on the airwaves in the next 2 minutes because we're not leaving the studio.
I think Madge and Alan Pardew might have to have a word about that if that's the case. But listen, it's been brilliant. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and hopefully this is just the start of more incredible sports coming your way across the talkSPORT network. But that is it for us. That is it for the 2026 Commonwealth Games as well. And on the way, it is the final word with Madge and Alan Pardew.
I mean, I wake up every morning now feeling so lucky that Unai Emery's still there.
Yeah.
Because people laugh about these FSR, whatever they're called, financial fair play rules.